Hello, everyone, and welcome to MIFV Max number 6. Admittedly, I have a wonderful list of guests joining us tonight. I wish it was under better circumstances, but let's get those introductions out of the way. First up on my queue is Mr. Danny DiManna.
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude?
Not great, considering the circumstances. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm fine, but it's not a stream. I'm glad to be here, but it's not a stream I think any of us wanted to have to happen.
Yeah. You know how affected I am about it? I just realized 5 seconds ago that I didn't hit the record button on on my soundboard, so I missed the first little bits of audio, but that's okay. Anyway. Okay. And then also joining us tonight is I should have said, Danny DiManna, the author and creator of the Godzilla Novelization Project and a man of many other talents.
And very bad lighting, also. Very bad lighting.
Yes. You have not quite learned the art of live streaming.
No, I know what I need to do. I just haven't done it yet. Which is not an excuse.
You can barely StreamYard. So
this is true, and I'd usually say that was rude, but I did literally use those words about myself a few seconds ago. So it's
yes, this is true. And then also joining us tonight is the host of Kaiju Conversation, a podcast, and also the creator of ET13 Productions, Mr. Elijah Thomas. How's it going?
It could be better, but I think Danny kind of put it all together quite well. Kind of the idea of feelings.
That's for sure. And then finally, the most wholesome kaiju content creator on YouTube. She needs no introduction. Kaiju Kim.
How's it going, everybody? Good evening.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, like I said, I wish this was under better circumstances, but I mean, what can you do at this point? So we are here to, I guess you could say, pay tribute to Akira Takarada, who unfortunately left us this week. As one of my college professors in grad school would say, he has left the body. So, and I think that took all of us by surprise. Before we continue on, I do want to mention that there is a possibility that we may have one or two more guests joining us tonight. So keep that in mind as we go forward. And anybody who is watching live with us, feel free to leave us some comments in the chat. We would love to hear from all of you about Mr. Takarada. So I guess the first thing to do is let's talk about how we found out about this sad news. So we'll start with you, Danny.
This is, if I get through the stream without the waterworks kicking in, it'll be a miracle. So consider yourselves warned.
From what I understand, because you wrote a little piece for Kaiju Ramen about this, and from what Michael was telling me, it sounds like you're taking it pretty hard.
This is a sucker punch right to the heart for me, and I don't want to make it seem like it's just I'm somehow special in this instance. This hit us all hard. This hit us all hard. I feel like G fandom has collectively lost a father figure, and that's how it hit me. I actually found out, I was at work at the time. I was in my own space, writing, at my job, being creative. And I'm lucky to have a job like that where I get to be creative every day, which is very, very special. And it was already kind of a stressful week on a number of fronts. And I actually found out from our mutual friend, Michael Hamilton. I had to glance over at my phone. I heard it vibrate on the desk, and mixed in with some deserved expletives that I will not be repeating here.
I was part of that chat as well, so I remember.
It was the same time you found out when Michael jumped in our mutual group chat and said, he's gone. Akira Takarada's gone. And I got like it. I literally had a physical reaction. Like I got dizzy. Like I felt the blood drain out of my head and down to my toes. Like I just felt paralyzed for a second. And it's hard to kind of explain that, especially since like this is like Takarada-san was not a family member of mine. This is not like necessarily on the level of having somebody who's related to you or a close friend pass away or anything like that. But I had a reaction akin to that. And I really had to kind of stop and take stock of why it hit me in that way. And I think it's hitting pretty much everyone like that. I'm not an isolated incident. I think that this is just it's hard to talk about, but we'll get into it. But long story short, I found out when you did, Nate, from the same source, and then after that, the work part of my brain took a hike, and I immediately got online, and I was like, this, please God, let this not be true. Let it be. I read it wrong. It's not true. Something. And then I obviously a few seconds later found out that it was true, and it was everywhere. And you could just kind of feel the air get sucked out of the Godzilla fan community in an instant. And then finding out stuff like we weren't necessarily even supposed to know this yet because a reporter got a scoop and leaked it.
What surprised me was that all the reports I was reading said that it had happened on the 14th, and we were finding out on the 17th. So they kept it under wraps for 3 days.
They did. That's actually fairly common in Japan, especially with beloved public figures. Yoshio Tsuchiya, who's another legendary Japanese actor, beloved in the Godzilla fan community for playing the Exilian commander in Monster Zero, Mr. Shindo in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. He passed away months before the news found out. Months. They kept it under wraps for a long time, just so that the family could have time to process and grieve, and then make it public. And I imagine we might not have heard of Takarada-san's passing for at least another few weeks, maybe longer, if some jackwagon hadn't leaked it to the press, which caught the family off guard. And now the family has had to, in addition to grieving, they've had to deal with the press and all this crazy stuff that they were not prepared for. So on top of everything they were going through, now they got to go through that. So it's even worse. And, I'm sitting at in my office chair, and all of this is sinking in, and it was rough. It was a chilling, heartbreaking moment. It really was.
Yeah.
Who gets to go next?
Elijah, how did you find out?
Well, I was at work, and I was called for my 15-minute break, and so I went to the back, and during my breaks, I have hundreds of messages, it feels like. So I just start checking off every social media site, checking all my notifications, just getting it out of the way. And I actually saw, Kim, your community post, and I swiped by it because I was like, I'm going to rush through these. But it was you with Akira Takarada. And I was like, that's interesting. I'll read that after I finish checking all my subscription notifications. And then I saw Matt Monstrosity's live stream scheduling, and it was Akira Takarada, and it was remembering Akira Takarada. I was like, wait a minute, what is his birthday coming up? Like, why is he doing this Akira Takarada stream? And then I think I went on Twitter, and like it didn't click with me yet. I was still confused, and I was like, why are people talking about Akira Takarada? And then it was probably the first thing that popped up on like my Twitter feed, and it was like I was sitting in the office where we can sit and on our breaks, and everything just kind of like stopped because I read the headline and I was like, wait a minute, is this actually like, am I seeing this right? What's going on? And then I kept reading the post, and it was like, oh wow. It just kind of hit me, and it was like a train just hit me straight on. I was like, what just happened? And I was just I was in shock. I had no reaction. It was like, I gotta collect my thoughts here because I was not expecting to see this today. So that's how I found out about it.
How about you, Kim?
So I was actually sitting on my couch watching Godzilla Singular Point, and I had planned to. I wasn't planning on being like on social media for a little while, to focus on my mental health. But I decided,
which is why I'm grateful that you're here with us tonight.
Very, very much so.
Yeah, I figured, pay tribute to Akira Takarada, then I'll disappear from the internet. But anyway, so I decided to take a quick peek at social media just for see if I missed anything. And then I go on Facebook and I see a post from Donnie Winter, saying that I didn't read it all the way through, but I saw the glimpse of Akira Takarada passed away. I'm like, whoa, are you serious? And then I go on Twitter and then I see everyone talking about it, and I'm just like, it bummed me out for the rest of the day. I was depressed. And I listened to Requiem from Godzilla vs. Destroya, and I almost cried. And it was just insane because he was the last surviving cast member of Gojira, and it was awesome that he was around for as long as he was. But and now he's gone, and he was such an amazing human being. And sorry if this sounds a little cliche, but it kind of feels like we lost a friend. And so I was like, just so sad about it the rest of the day.
Danny already hinted at it. I found out at the same time as you, thanks to Michael Hamilton in our group chat. I don't know how he found out about it, but I was working. I've been on spring break this week because one of my jobs is I'm an adjunct English instructor. It was spring break this week, and I have a second job that I was working, and it's work from home. It's customer service. And so I was just minding my own business. I was literally just sitting in my living room on my laptop with a work phone next to me, waiting for people to call. And I get the text message and I look at it, and it was, you're always surprised by death when it happens. We never expect it, especially with someone like Takarada, who's just been around for, it seems like forever. I had the same reaction a few years ago when I found out that Stan Lee died. It's just like, you just expect them to be around forever. In our heads, as weird as it sounds, they're immortal. We just always expect them to be around. And it's been a little bit of an adjustment for me to stop and think, he's gone. He's not around anymore. I mean, I had a similar reaction also a few years ago when Carrie Fisher died, and I had to think to myself, oh my gosh, I met her. That was the first time I had an experience where a celebrity I'd actually met had died, and it hits you differently. It really does. And we'll share stories that we have about Takarada, because I think everybody in this stream has, at least right now, has met him, correct? I think we all have. And I really want us to share those moments, because I think that's one of the things that I want us to remember. Is that one of the reasons I wanted to have this stream, and I want to do something like this for Kaiju Ramen as well. I don't want us to just talk about his work. I don't want to talk about just Takarada, the actor. I want to talk about Takarada, the man, because we've experienced the real Takarada and not the actor on screen. And I think that is something that definitely needs to be discussed. But we have a few people here in the stream who are sharing their stories as well. So Riley Roberts here. When I first read that Akira Takarada died, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I think all of us can agree on that. And then we have
Absolutely.
Doomzilla here. I was waking up till I found out about this and was shocked and heartbroken that the last remaining member of the original cast of the original Godzilla film was gone. So, and then we also have Jane Meyer, who has some
Jane.
connections to Danny here. Yeah, she's yeah, thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane, for saying that.
That Doomzilla brings up a really, really pertinent point here, because there's multiple layers to this, and I think what we'll mostly focus on here, as it should be, is our personal connections with this amazing guy and what he meant to us. But it's also worth taking into consideration that this really does represent a watershed moment. Now, there are and I've spent the last, I don't know, I mean, because this we found out about this on Thursday, and I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this and just about it in general. And the thing that really, really just messes with me is he was it. He was the last major tether between then and now. He made, in a way, and I hope this isn't too esoteric to bring up here, just the idea that with him alive, first of all, and also still so active in promoting the messages of the original film, he made that movie, which is coming dangerously close to 70 years old. The original Godzilla is almost 70 years old. It didn't feel like it was that separated by time with him alive. And with that last tether to the original film's main cast severed, it makes the film, at least to me in a way, feel a lot more distant and a lot more detached. And now there are still, Kenji Sahara, the great actor, the great Toho actor, is still with us. He's in Godzilla for one scene. You see, it's like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. He's sitting at a table on the ship that Godzilla swims by about halfway through the film. He's still with us, but the main core cast of the film and almost all the technicians that worked on it, obviously Tsuburaya, Tanaka, Ifukube, Kayama, Honda, all of those gentlemen have long since departed, and Takarada was like the poster child for this film in a lot of ways. I mean, he was billed as its star, and the fact that he was still around and he was still doing this, he was still so proud of his work and he was still promoting it. He it's kind of, I was having a conversation with somebody about this the day that he passed, and to me, I linked it in my mind to kind of like the same, like when the last Titanic survivor dies. Now there was no one there to watch history happen. Now that's a completely different thing, not worth comparing on every single bullet point, but there's something there. The fact that this guy looked Ishiro Honda in the eye, the fact that he was on set, the fact that he could come to conventions and tell people about what it was like to be on that set, what it was like to be under the direction of Honda for as many films as he worked with him on, to tell stories about Nick Adams and all the shenanigans he got. One of my favorite, and we'll share more Takarada memories later, but when the first time I met him in 2010, he told stories about Nick Adams, and some of them were not, they were good-natured, but not flattering. And at a certain point during the conversation, I kid you not, this is what he did. He stopped talking. He looked up at the ceiling and he said, "Sorry, Nick." I love that. I love that story. I wish I'd filmed it. I'm sure it's on, somebody filmed it somewhere, but
Kyle
yeah.
from Kaiju Cast probably has it recorded.
Oh, I'm sure he does. But anyway, we can move on. But I did want to bring up Doomzilla's point. That there is
Well,
something
and
about that.
I want to build off of that a little bit because this is something that that's come back to my mind, and it was especially something that I thought of after I met Takarada in 2019, and that is, I mean, he's not a Hollywood actor, but he is what we in the United States would term old Hollywood.
100%.
There's just something about him. He's from this kind of bygone era, this classical time of Japanese cinema, and it's a cliche nowadays, but in this case, I would say they don't make him like they used to.
They certainly don't.
And that's certainly the case here now. He was a class act, and the most important thing that I took away and why people loved him so much in the Godzilla community, and especially at G-Fest, because how many G-Fest did he come to, Danny? I think at least 2 or 3?
2010, 2013, 2016, 2019, and he wanted to come back for 2023 to celebrate the 30th G-Fest. His plan was to come back what would have been next year for his 5th. I used to joke that it was impossible to keep Takarada-san from not coming to G-Fest because he, like anybody, would ever turn him away, of course. But he came that first year, and I'll share stories later. I don't want to get ahead. But,
But people started calling him the Godfather of G-Fest.
Godfather G-Fest.
It's kind of like with Stan Lee, where Stan Lee was, this kind of grandfather to all of the Marvel fans, as time went on. Even if you had never read a Stan Lee story, you knew his characters and you saw his influence on Marvel Comics, in everything. And he was so revered. He became this face of basically the face of the company. And Takarada, in many ways, was like that for all of us in the Godzilla community, in the Kaiju community, because he wasn't just in Godzilla films. That's the other thing.
No.
And I feel bad that the only films that you can really get in the United States is his tokusatsu work, which is great. But I do feel like more of his stuff needs to be shared. But all of that to say, the fans loved him because he had such appreciation for the fans. And it didn't matter where they were from. It didn't matter if they were the Japanese fans or all of us crazy foreigners who like this stuff just as much as anybody in Japan.
He loved the American fans with all his heart. He loved every fan, like you said, but he would stop the world to make himself available to everyone when he would come to America. He embraced this half of the planet, really, when it comes to people who love his tokusatsu work, just completely, without an inch of self-importance, with an ounce of self-importance, just none of that. He was completely available. Just amazing. We
got a comment here I want to share from Angus Palma. I may be a bit of a neophyte. Oh, I like that word. That's a nice big word there.
Angus knows good words.
In regards to his entire filmography, but this man seems, by all accounts, to be a stone cold legend. I'm honored to have met him. Yeah.
And a legend he was. I mean, and you do bring up a good point, Nate. It really is a shame that because the man, it's easy to kind of forget because we always see him so associated with Godzilla, which is amazing and wonderful and all. But the man worked with Ozu. The man worked with he worked with everyone. He did so many amazing movies that covered every single conceivable genre. The guy sang. He was in musicals. He was so talented.
Which really makes me wish that someone had I've joked about this in several episodes of my podcast, but I really do wish that I feel like there's just some alternate universe out there somewhere where Ishiro Honda got to direct a kaiju musical with Takarada.
I would have loved to see that.
I want there to be a kaiju musical. There's the King Kong Broadway play, which the less said about that, the better, because apparently, you know, the animatronic is better than the music. It's a musical, dang it. But anyway, I know, but so many times I see in Ishiro Honda's movies where there are these musical and dance numbers. And I'm like, come on, just were musicals a thing in Japan? They must have been. That would have been
absolutely.
so epic. It would have been
You know
so
what we should
epic.
do?
Can you imagine?
We should all just get together and make our own kaiju musical. Like, I'll direct it and you write the music, and then we'll make it happen. And
Don't
we'll
ask
make
me
it
to
an
sing.
honor. We'll make
Don't
it
ask
an
me to
honor of
sing.
Akira Takarada.
I
You
am
know-
200% on board with that.
I've worked on a musical. I was the AD and stage manager.
Perfect.
So
Yes,
so we got
you,
it. We
you
got it.
You did
Little
one
Shop.
of the few kaiju musicals that actually exist, because you did
Yeah.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
I was a prop guy on Fiddler on the Roof in high school. I handed Tevye his Torah. That's my contribution.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but all of that to say, Takarada has done a lot of stuff that even some of the Godzilla and Kaiju fans, the Tokusatsu fans, are unaware of. He was a multi-talented man, and I mean, the guy was well into his 80s, but he had the energy to keep up with all of us crazy fans. You know, he was coming to the cons and meeting people, and you know, he was having dinners with some fans from G Fest, and I mean, he was doing all of it, man. He was running around all over the place.
Dude,
and
let me tell you, jet lag. Anybody here ever have take a journey that involved some jet lag?
Nope.
A little bit.
Okay. So am I the only I think I'm the only person in the column here that's actually been to Japan. Is that true?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so when I flew to Japan,
I'm only a bit jealous.
No,
Little bit.
I'm not trying to make anybody jealous. But next time I go, I'm gonna put you all in my suitcase and we'll all go together.
Excellent.
I'm gonna have to
Do you have a shrink ray?
somewhere. It's
I'm flexible. I can figure.
in my pile of stuff. I think it's the bottom of the ramen bowl. But so when I flew to Japan, I don't recall what day it was, but it's, you know, completely offset by however many hours. I think it's 11 hours off or 13 hours off. I'm working on tired, depressed. I miss Akira Takarada very much brain right now. So I'm not going to do the math, but basically, you know, you got on an airplane and I left. I'm going to just say it was the 20th. And, you know, 14 hours later, I left the morning of the 20th. And then 14 hours later, I landed in Japan on the morning of the 20th. It doesn't make it's temporal nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. And then
it's daylight savings time on steroids.
On steroids. And then when you fly back, it's worse, because I think I got back to I think I left on the 31st, and then it was almost the morning of the 2nd of August by the time I landed back in the United States. So that roughed me up. I had to take a nap after that. Imagine doing that at 80 years old. I was in my mid-20s when I made this trip, and I mean, it didn't mess me up that much, but imagine being 85, 87 years. I mean, Takarada-san was scheduled to be in Indianapolis in September of this year, or October, I don't recall which. He was going to a convention in the States, at which point he would have been 88. His birthday's in April, so he would have been 88 years old, flying across the world. Hey, Robert, what's up, my man? But it's astonishing to me. It's like John. You know how John Williams is 90,000 years old, but he's still writing beautiful music. It's the same thing. Some people are just born to be on the move creatively and just keep drinking life. Just keep doing what you love. Keep celebrating it.
Yeah.
Keep being in that zone, that atmosphere, and God bless him. Akira Takarada was one of those people. 100%.
All of us in this chat right now would all consider ourselves very creative people, and I think all of us aspire to be that. You know, we're gonna keep doing what we love, keep cranking out whatever creative project it is that we're working on, that all the way up until we die. I mean, I've been joking for years as a writer. I am going to probably die with more unrealized ideas in my head than anything that I actually put out into the world. So
I tell you what, if you go through your whole life thinking that, it'll be true. So don't use that as some motivation if that means anything at all. Just that thought should scare you. So don't let it happen. Get as much out of your head as you can. Sometimes
obviously,
sometimes it's not possible. We're all incredibly busy people, but one of the things that this man's life has taught me is that the man embraced the creativity in his life. He embraced the legacy that he knew he was going to leave behind wholeheartedly. And there's a lot to learn, I think, from him. And again, we'll get into more of that later. Mm-hmm. I have thoughts on that I'll share.
Riley makes a good point. I hope to God I don't sound insensitive. At least he lived a long age, and his death wasn't premature or untimely. I understand that sentiment, although, as I've said for a long time, you can't prepare for death. Death is never easy, and death always feels wrong when it happens.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how old a person has lived or how fulfilling their life is. All of that certainly does count for something, very much so. But it still blows.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You might even be in a situation where it's coming, but that none of that means anything when the actual passing happens.
Yeah.
Especially something like this where it was so sudden. And then it was bizarre because you think, oh my gosh, I'm just now learning about this. And I've been living on a planet without Akira Takarada for 3 days and I didn't know.
I know. It's one of the, like I said, it's just so weird to think about. You just expect these people to always be around.
Yeah. We had the same, you and I, Nate, had the same conversation when Sir Sean Connery passed away
for the Dragonheart for the Dragonheart bonus episode.
That was a fun time. And Sean Connery to me was one of those people where the guy you just never ever thought to yourself you'd ever wake up in a world without Sean Connery in it.
Yeah.
And same with Stan Lee, same with Carrie Fisher. I'm also going to throw another name on the pile because next year will be 10 years since he passed away, and what was easily the first big outside, and by that I mean outside immediate friends and family, outside death of my life, which was Ray Harryhausen in 2013. That I never got a chance to meet him, unfortunately. Takarada-san, yes. Harryhausen, no. But it's just who would think that there's a world without Ray Harryhausen in it?
Yeah. Now, I do want us. I think this is a good point to transition to talking about our personal stories with Takarada, and then I think we can finish out our discussion, our memorial, if you want to call it that, talking about his work and what it means to us, and what are our favorite Takarada roles and movies and things like that. So, I want to say before we get started that I am very, very just eternally grateful that I met Takarada, because I had an opportunity to meet Nakajima and I didn't take it because he was going to be at a horror convention about maybe 3 hours away from me in Indianapolis. And I thought, I'm only really going to go for him. Oh, he's going to be at a Comic-Con in my Michigan friend's neck of the woods in a couple of months. I'll just go see him then. I'll be more interested in the rest of that convention. And then in between those shows, he passed. And it is one of my fandom regrets that I did not take that opportunity, which is why I'm glad. Now, let me tell you this right now to anybody who is watching this, who is listening to this later, watching it later. Don't take these people for granted, especially these kind of golden age, Takarada, greatest generation. These people are not going to be around forever. They are getting up in age. If you have an opportunity to meet these people, take it, because you never know when they will be gone, and it could happen at any moment. That's why I'm glad I went out of my way to meet Stan Lee. And so anytime you get a chance, don't miss it. But anyway, I want us to start with Kim, because she's been politely quiet while all of the boys keep jacking their jaws, and I feel a little bad about that. So, Kim, would you like to share your Takarada story with us?
Absolutely. So I met him at G-Fest 2019. And up until that point, I had only heard him speak in Japanese. So I greeted him with Hajime Mashite, which is nice to meet you, for those who don't know. And he responded in English, "Oh, you speak Japanese." That threw me off guard. But
I
it was
wonder if
actually
he
kind of
picked up a
funny.
little bit doing Latitude Zero, because he had to
picked up
speak
a-
English the whole time.
He picked up a lot. I mean, he learned his lines in Latitude Zero phonetically, but
Yeah.
most of his English, I mean, when I first met him in 2010, he spoke very little, just a few phrases. But by 2019, he gave his opening ceremony speech almost entirely in English. And I think that came a lot from just being around the language. But
Yeah. Anyway, Kim.
I want to hear the story.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit. I got his autograph. I have the picture in the background there. I put it in the frame. There we go.
I brought some stuff for show and tell tonight.
I did too.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can
Well,
get it.
yeah, except we can't see yours, Elijah.
I'll turn my camera on for that.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Oh man.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I figured it was appropriate. And then he asked me where I learned to speak Japanese, and I said, "Oh, I learned it online and on this audio program thing." And I feel like at some point I told him that, oh, I love Godzilla and it was an honor to meet him, or, at least I hope I said that to him, because that apparently that was my only chance that I got to tell him that. But yeah, that's my Takarada story.
How long were you able to speak with him?
A couple minutes.
What day of the convention did you meet him? Because
I think
Saturday was really busy at G-Fest.
I think it was the last day, Sunday.
Okay, yeah. The autograph lines are usually a bit thinner, a little easier to manage.
Yeah, because I
Saturdays.
think I actually remember wanting to meet him on
Sundays.
Saturday, but then the line was too long, so I'm like, yeah, I'll go tomorrow.
Yeah. Now that even on Sunday, the Takarada line was long.
Yeah.
It was worth the wait, though. It was worth the wait.
Imagine being 80 in your 80s, and there's this huge line of people. And at the for anybody out there who has never been to G-Fest at what is now the previous hotel, because the convention will now be in a new hotel going forward. That hotel was fine for G-Fest in the 90s and the 2000s, but by 2019 it was just way too small, and the autograph section was in the main hallway lobby area, and in order to get in line, it literally had to snake around all the way over to the diner area, the cafe. And it was I usually got my stuff signed on Sundays because the line was usually smaller, but that line, especially for Takarada-san, I think I've only ever seen the line that long one other time, and that's when Svengoolie came to G-Fest.
Svengoolie.
And it was so long I didn't get a chance to talk to him, unfortunately. But
that is ironic.
Thank goodness he's still. I mean, he broadcasts out of Berwyn, which is near Chicago. So it was G-Fest is like in his backyards. I hope he comes back because I didn't get a chance to meet him. I love Svengoolie.
Yeah. Some more stuff from Riley Roberts. He said he was hoping to meet Takarada at G-Fest in 2023, but yeah, I'm sorry, man. Feel very Oh, we have a new guy in the chat, Mr. David Garcia. Yep, nice to meet you, man.
What is up? That is a good question.
Yeah. Elijah,
yes.
would you like to share your story with us?
Okay. So I met Takarada at 2019 G-Fest. I wasn't down for that line because it was way too long. So I waited till Sunday, and it was late. And I had not had time because I was waiting for the line to get done. And it was like there was a call made or something, and they said, in 20 minutes, Takarada's done with signatures. So I was like, crap, I gotta get in line. So I got in line, and my heart just started pumping. Because, so I'm not being ageist when I say this, But like,
You ageist. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't say it.
I'm kicking you off the stream.
Kick him off.
You are muted. I'm kidding.
Ah,
Yeah, only for a second.
I was muted. But like, everybody else in here was able to, or had the opportunity, or lived through these other people who worked on 54. You know, I don't know how old Kim and Danny are. Sorry. I know Nathan's in his 30s, right? I'm not being okay, good. So like, you've been able to live through Honda, probably, Momoko Kochi, Akira Ifukube.
Not really. They died during my lifetime, but I wasn't a fan yet when that happened.
Gotcha.
But I think what Elijah's saying is that our lives overlapped to a point.
Yeah.
We were
very briefly.
We were breathing oxygen on the same planet as Momoko Kochi, and I actually missed. Ishiro Honda passed away in early March of '93. I was born on in late February, so I just missed that chance.
So
Gotcha.
I was on the same planet as Ishiro Honda for like 2 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I'm jelly. I'm jealous. That's awesome.
But
Go ahead,
like,
Elijah.
I was born in 04. So, you know, I was able to, I lived, I think Final Wars came out in Japan 2 months or like a month before I was born. But like, I was still alive in that classic era of Godzilla. But like, I didn't know Ifukube or Honda or Momoko Kochi, Akihito Hirata, all these guys. And obviously Nakajima was somebody who I knew of, and I was there to experience his death, and that hit me. But I never had the chance to meet Nakajima. I was going to go, I did go to G-Fest 2018, and the selling point was Takarada's going. And Takarada is one of the last living members of 54. So, like, that was major to me because this was my last chance. This was my last shot to have that opportunity. And he canceled, wasn't it health problems?
But he was in the hospital.
He had some health complications, and they had to get a replacement at the last second.
Takarada, from what I understand, Takarada-san, from his hospital bed, made a phone call, and he said, "Hey, Satsuma-san, you want to go to?" He pulled, because the guy pulls strings. When Akira Takarada calls you and says, "Hey, I need a favor," you don't say no.
Actually, didn't they end up getting 2 guests to replace Takarada that year? Because they had Satsuma. So it's Akira Takarada calling up Godzilla and saying, "Hey, can you go and go for me?" And then they also got Don Fry. So they needed 2 people. I'm Don Fry. They had to get 2 people to replace Takarada. That's how big of a deal he was.
But they did it, and my God, when he showed up in 2019, were you there in the opening ceremony?
I was about to get to
that.
Tell us about it, man. Tell us about it.
So I was sitting like second row, middle.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
And like, actually, I can send you a photo because I took a photo of him, and then Nathan, if you want to put it on the stream, you can.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
I was sitting right up there because I was waiting like 2 hours for the opening ceremony. And just I still have to get to my signing part, but I'll backtrack to this.
No. If you have other stories related to Takarada, you can share those too, because I've got one that I'm going to share.
Okay. So and
if you have any others, Kim, feel free to share those as well.
I was sitting there, and then of course they got up and they started their opening remarks, and Takarada, like we said, spoke in English, And wasn't he the last one to give his remarks?
He was the last one. Sono Nakajima was there representing her father who passed before. And that was also... who else was
Kaneko.
there?
Yeah, that
Kaneko was there. And
Yoshikazu Ishii.
Yoshikazu Ishii, who... and Peggy Neal, who also passed away a month or two ago. I loved her so much at that show. That was great.
And then let me make sure these sent real quick.
Mhm.
Let me make
Where did
sure
you
they're
send
the right
them?
ones. Messenger.
Messenger. Okay. Yeah. I see a notification. Keep talking. I'll download these.
One of them's blurry. Let me grab one that's not blurry. If I have one. I don't know if I have one. I don't have one. That's the best one. But he gave his remarks in English, and like for me that was like, wow, like everybody else delivered in Japanese, which was awesome, and then here you have Takarada, and he just starts in English, and it was good English.
Yes, it was.
And it was, and you could just tell the entire room was like, what, like, just shocked. I
He got multiple standing ovations, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, he sure did.
And you know, he started talking and how grateful he was. But the part that broke me was when he started talking and he was like, I was supposed to be here last year. And he started apologizing. He was like, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to come. And I'm not going to be the first one to cry. Don't make me be the first one to cry.
Okay. It's okay, man. It's okay.
And there was not a dry eye in the house when he did this, man. I was bawling. Everybody is bawling. We were all clapping and bawling together. You're fine. You're fine, my friend.
It's
And
good.
it was just like, Takarada is right now apologizing to like hundreds, if not at least 1,000,
As at least
of people for not showing up. And it's like, what? You don't have to apologize. Why are you apologizing? But it was like, it was like a touching moment because he was so sincere, and you felt his regret. And I remember just sitting there and like, wow. When I thought of Akira Takarada, I wasn't going to think he was going to stand in front of all of us and start crying, apologizing for what he said was letting us down. And it was like, oh my God, it was just so touching.
he was just, it was a sincere moment, man. He was just there, and here I go. He was cutting onions, but the entire, and he genuinely was worried that he had let down 1,000+ people. That moment to me is pure Akira Takarada. If you ever wanted to know what kind of a man he truly was, the humility that he exuded, that's it. It was an amazing moment.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm still fighting with StreamYard, so I can show these pictures.
So the opening was just, that was touching. And then you know, I saw him the rest of the con, but I wouldn't be able to go get a signature until Sunday. And you know, it was last minute, like they're packing things up. It was now or never. And I was standing in line, and I'm thinking, this is Akira Takarada. Like, this is the last member of the film that started what has become my biggest hobby, my biggest obsession, what people relate to me the most. And I'm about to meet him, the star of the movie. I'm about to see him.
I don't know if anyone can see that.
I can see it.
It's up.
It's blurry, but
yeah,
and that's on me.
Yeah,
you're fine. You're fine.
I had to do a full screen share in order to make it work.
And then I was next, and I'm standing there. I'm like, I can't do it's Akira Takarada.
There we go.
It's just like
And here these were all of several of the main guests from G-Fest that year. So we had Shusuke Kaneko. This is Nakajima's daughter. I'm trying to remember who's the gentleman all the way here on the...
Yoshikazu Ishii. Among other things, the director of one of my favorite indie kaiju films in recent memory, Attack of the Giant Teacher.
Amazing film.
I adore that movie so much. I saw it premiere that year. I love it.
Yeah. All right, guys, focus.
But then the person that was like moderating his signatures said, "It's your turn." And like I took a step forward and I was like, I was just like
a better picture from when he was talking.
A deer in the headlight. I was like, I am standing in front of one of my favorite actors in the history of the world, and I'm about to go up and get his signature and meet him. And like, I had to force myself up to like, it's like that scene from Wayne's World. I'm not worthy. Like, that's how I felt. And I sent you one more where he's accepting his award, Nathan.
Okay, I'll double check.
And then I get up there and I'm like, "You're one of my favorite actors ever. I love every Godzilla movie you're in. You inspire me." And like this whole time I'm like choking this out because it's like, oh my God, I'm right here. And I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. And I kind of ramble. I'm like, you're amazing in every fashion. And he's like, "Thank you." He signs. I've got one just like him with Takarada and Kochi at the end of 54, and he signs it, and he takes my picture with him and I'm like, "Thank you so much. This is like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, thank you so much." And I walk away. I'm like, I just met Akira Takarada. Like, this is like,
here's the one where he's getting the award.
It's just like, it was so surreal. And it was almost unfathomable, like what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Danny, remind me, which award did he get that year?
Is this 2019? I actually don't recall. I mean, he got his Mangled Skyscraper in 2010, and Kaneko-san got it this year. Yeah. But I actually don't recall. I think it was something special for that year that they had made just for him for being an ambassador for G-Fest. Because one thing that's not talked about enough is that Takarada-san is one of the reasons that a lot of the Japanese alums from the films went to G-Fest after 2010, because he went back to Toho and he called up all the actors and people and said, "If you haven't been to G-Fest, you've got to go. I just went and it's really good. Trust me." And so they got a lot more people to come after that because he went back to Japan and sang the praises of the con. So that might be what this is. I don't want to say that because I don't know. I don't remember what that is. I was there, but I don't remember.
I understand. Although looking at these photographs, Elijah, reminds me that only someone with this old with that much class can rock what looks like a suit made out of like some hunter from the 90s wardrobe, because my gosh, that plaid.
I love it. I adore the man was pardon me, he was dressed to the flippin' nines. Everywhere he went, he was. In the piece I wrote for Kaiju Ramen, which I don't believe will be on the website until tomorrow or Monday, I wrote something to the effect of, if you opened up a dictionary and looked up the phrase class act, instead of a written definition, you'd see Akira Takarada's face. Because it's true. I mean, look at this guy. He was dressed to the nines wherever he went.
Like I said, he's old Hollywood. This is how men used to go to work. This was just daily. This is what they wore daily.
That's
They
how
wore
men used
suits
to
and
get on
ties.
They used to how men used to get on the bus.
Yeah.
Oh man. And now look at us. Look at us men. What happened to us?
Well, I mean, one of the owners of the ballroom dance studio I go to has been advocating actually for about a year or so now that men need to start wearing hats again. So I have occasionally like stuff like that, not like baseball caps. So I've actually gone to the studio a few times now wearing a fedora.
Oh, okay. Okay, so what kind of a fedora? Good. We're gonna get back on topic in a second, but I need to know.
It looks like an Indiana Jones hat.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Why aren't you wearing it right now? Is my next question.
I thought about it, but then headphones.
Well, that's you live with it.
It would
No,
look really
that's
weird because
it folded down, the sides like folded up weirdly.
Yeah. I've got pictures of me wearing the hat, but yeah. Hey, look. He made it.
Michael.
I'm so sorry, guys. I can't be there with you tonight to honor Takarada-san. Migraines are no joke, but I want to mention that Kaiju Ramen plans to honor his rich legacy in an upcoming issue.
Yes, breaking news.
You should.
Yes, breaking news.
And your friend Angus is really itching to hear your story, but you've got a lot. So
it's not my turn, man. It's not my turn.
I know, but I'm just like you have more. You out of all of us in this stream, you have the most experience with Takarada. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to save you for last.
It is your turn, my friend. It is your turn. I don't want to ramble ahead of anyone else. So
I understand. But and I podcasted with you enough to know how you could get so. The most talkative introvert I know. Well, you're on the list.
That is true. That is true.
But anyway, so my story goes to G-Fest 2019 because I had always been aware of G-Fest, but for whatever reason, I just never got myself over there until about 5 years ago. So was it 5 years ago? Feels... My God, no, yeah, about 5 years ago. It's weird.
Time is a flat circle, my friend.
Yes. But anyway, so I was very excited that Takarada was going to be there. I remember all of the stuff that Elijah was talking about with the opening ceremony and everything. So I'm very glad that you shared that. The first story that I want to tell about Takarada, and this one is unique for me because I was, one of those uncultured swine that opted to go to the Monster Zero screening instead of Kaiju Crescendo because it was happening at the same time.
You uncultured? No, I'm just kidding.
I know, but the big selling point not only was that being able to see the movie, and it's such a fantastic Godzilla film. It's just a fantastic science fiction film, I would say, but it was also the fact that Takarada was going to be there and he was going to introduce it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's going to be there. So I had to make sure I was there. And so, I went there and he came back. You got to remember, this is at 10:30 at night. Okay. And here's Takarada in his 80s walking around with a bunch of nerds
and the jet lag.
Yeah. And so here he comes in with an interpreter and he talks a little bit about making the movie, talks a little bit about Nick Adams, and tells everybody, hey, I hope you enjoy seeing this. But then the best moment of that evening happened. So you got to understand, the Pickwick Theater, which is, it's like, about a mile or two from the hotel,
It's pretty close.
But, so they're the ones who do all of the G-Fest screenings of like the big movies, the film festivals and another part of the hotel where they have the indie films. But, so in this theater, it's an old fashioned theater. It looks straight out of the 30s. Like I would expect King Kong to show up there with Carl Denham. It's that old. And so, and it's got this massive screen. So it's got multiple sections of seats with like at least 2 or 3 aisles cutting through them. It's a big theater.
It's pretty substantial.
Yeah. So gorgeous. Anyway, Takarada is going off with not his entourage, I guess his handlers, off to the side, and he just blurts as he's walking down this aisle, so that the movie can start. He just blurts out in English, I want popcorn. And then there is a woman sitting at the edge of the aisle, and as he's walking by, she just holds up her bag of popcorn to him, and he goes in and he grabs a few pieces and eats it and keeps going. And I took everything in me, because I was sitting in a different section, to not just point over there and say, "Woman, you have bragging rights for life." But then the Sunday was like a lot of us here in 2019. Sunday was when I met Takarada, and I'll show off my picture. I got it framed. Nice. And it's on my kind of collage of pictures in my living room of all the celebrities that I've met. You can see the items I had him sign, and I'll show those off here a little bit too. I'm this crazy. I knew something like this was going to happen, so I put it in a bag. So I was thinking long and hard about what I wanted him to sign, because I had a lot of things to pick from. So I decided to go with the Criterion edition of, and you can see see his signature on there. Go with the original Criterion edition of this, because at that time we didn't think it was getting re-released. And then I think literally like within a week or two of G-Fest, they announced the giant set. I'm like, well, dang, this thing's going in storage and never coming out.
It's you gotta put it up on a little picture stand.
I think I have to now, but
just display it as art.
I think I have to at this point. I have a graphic novel signed by Stan Lee as well. So my original intention, so you saw that the front cover was autographed. Now, my original intention, because when you go to G-Fest, you pay per signature. So so I paid for one signature, and that also allowed me to meet him and get a photograph. That was my intention. So I stood in line for however long it took, and it was as long as that line was, I still got through that faster than most of the other big celebrity meetup lines that I've been through in my life. And so here I am, I'm walking up to it, and I'm, like all of us, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's him. I'm containing myself. I'm just like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Don't be the weirdo that they all talk about at other conventions when they're doing panel discussions or with their friends. And they're like, oh my gosh, these weirdos. This one guy, so don't be that guy. So I hand him the booklet here that came with this Blu-ray, and he signs it. And then, not even looking up from finishing that signature, I'm holding this, and he just grabs it and signs this too. And I'm like, don't tell anybody, please. He gave me two. I took everything in me to not just explode in joy right at that moment. I'm just like, don't tell anyone he gave me two. Don't tell anyone he gave me two. But I have photographic evidence now of it, obviously, that he gave me two. So please don't anybody hate me. JD, everybody working at G-Fest, don't charge me extra because I got two. It was just an outpouring of just kindness from Takarada.
If you really feel bad about it, donate the equivalent money to the G-Fans Helping G-Fans.
Maybe I should at this point,
and just to even out the karma. But you know what? Takarada-san did it. I think it's fine. I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Yeah. So I was like I said, I was just I was in like kaiju nerd heaven at that point, and but before we get to your story, Danny, I want to put this out here. I know it's a big topic of discussion in the kaiju fandom. It's an unfortunate one, I think, where we keep arguing about whether or not the human characters in these films mean anything. Considering how much love and appreciation that Takarada was getting, I think you've got your answer. This wasn't Nakajima. Nakajima was a big deal too when he was at G-Fest. This wasn't Nakajima. This wasn't the monster guys. This was a human actor, and people were lining up in droves to meet him. I think that's a sign that these characters matter. Anyway, I'm done. You've got like a dozen stories to tell. So
I don't want to I have a lot of things. Now I need to preface with a couple of things, one of which is I don't want to like ramble too much, because I do have a lot I could say, and two, I don't want this to come across as bragging in any fashion, but I have a lot of really interesting, some really amazing, and then one extra special life-changing thing that Akira Takarada did for me, just by the nature of the good man that he was. So I guess the best place to start is me not being able to talk. The best place to start is in 2010. 2010 was my first G-Fest. And you have to understand, that was the first time I ever spoke with a Godzilla fan face-to-face. I never, that was my first time was going to G-Fest. I was 17 at my first G-Fest. And I was suddenly in a room of like-minded people. It was a gift that year. It was actually a birthday present that my family.
Pardon me, Danny. Quick update. Yeah, it goes up Monday.
Yeah, Michael, you can do that when you're feeling better. How about that?
Yeah.
Like when you're feeling better, you can worry about that stuff. Take care of yourself, my friend. That can wait. But yeah, it was an incredible experience to go there. The trip had been paid for, and you know, I got that in a subscription to GFan all in one foul swoop. The somewhat kinder, gentler 2010 version of GFan. And it was Akira Takarada is going to be there. Are you kidding me? I have to do this. And I'd never been before. I don't think I'd ever been to a convention at all before that. Like I was a complete convention. Here's that word again, Angus, neophyte. And I went in, and I'll keep this as brief as possible.
Just a quick thing here. Miss Meyer, Kim did share her story. We did not deny her the opportunity. She's watching out for you, Kim.
She's watching. Yes,
thank you, Jane.
Yes, yeah. she's got your back. And then when we get to the next topic, I can't wait to hear what Kim has to say about that. That's going to be cool. But the first day of G-Fest 2010, right before the opening ceremony, I'm heading into the opening ceremony, and there he is, and he was just there in the middle of the hallway with all these people. Just walking around. You mean
this?
Yes. The elevator. Yes, there wasn't.
Jane Meyer telling us that at your first G-Fest, you met Takarada in the elevator.
Yeah. I had a couple. I think a lot of people have Takarada elevator G-Fest stories. That seems to be a recurring. I think he took a lot of pleasure in just jumping on the elevator with people and watching them go. Oh my gosh, there he is. And he would just be cool as a cucumber on the elevator because he's just a guy. And that was the first impression I really got, the first real impression after holy crap, there's Akira Takarada. My first impression was the guy is just walking around talking to people and shaking their hands. And that's something that, it really spoiled me for meeting going to other conventions, because a lot of those people are basically all but behind glass. If Stan Lee just walked around Comic-Con, there'd be riots. I mean, there's no way that would happen. He had to be, he was very old for a lot of those things, so he had people around him, but he had to be guarded. And here's Akira Takarada just walking around. Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on?
Actually, a lot of the guests at G-Fest were kind of like that. Just hang out.
A lot of them. Let's hang out. There's not a lot of self-importance. I think the thing about G-Fest that makes it so wonderful is that everyone's just happy to be there. The guests are happy to be there, and the people are happy to be there. And I could tell that Takarada-san was very happy to be there. First year, I don't have anything super major. It was a pretty normal event, but seeing him suddenly in the flesh, I think this is a moment that a lot of people have when they see a celebrity for the first time. It suddenly becomes very real in a way, because you've only ever seen this face behind a screen, and now he's in 3 dimensions and alive, in front of you. And it's a weird thing to put into words verbally, but I think we've all felt that. that moment of, oh my gosh,
It's like, you're real?
you're a
Oh
real
my
person.
gosh.
You're not just a fixed series of repetitive frames on a TV on a worn out
What,
VHS.
you mean I can speak to you with words from my mouth and you can hear them with your ears?
It's amazing.
Well, let's be honest. If any of the characters in any of the movies we were watching started talking back to us from the TV, I don't think we'd be happy.
I turned the TV off. Unless it was
I'd run away. I'd run away from
I'd
them.
try to go into it. I'd try to jump in.
going to the stream.
Yeah, Elijah, you are way too young to remember this. That's called Captain N.
I mean, I was thinking more like Ring style.
I was thinking.
Oh, no.
I was thinking Videodrome. Maybe that's just me.
I was gonna say this is the start of a horror movie. Is that anyway? Continue.
Where's David Cronenberg when you need him? Anyway, that first year, I had the same thing that happened with you, Nate. I was like, oh my god, what do I have the man sign? I ultimately ended up picking Godzilla, Mothra versus Godzilla. I got him to sign the classic media DVD, and I think I paid extra. I got that and Monster Zero signed. And then here's the first challenge of the stream here. Let's see if I can hoist this into frame. This is something I got signed that first year. Oh, it's so big. Oh, I'm gonna knock things over if I'm not careful. Okay. This is
all on you right now, Danny.
This is not going to fit in the frame because of how obscenely large it is. But I don't even know if I can get the signature in frame. But this is a oh, good lord. Okay, here we go. This is an actual one sheet poster from 1992's Godzilla vs. Mothra.
Oh, I see the signature all the way here on the end.
There it is. Yeah, he signed that for me. So it was a real. I mean, if you thought it was hard for me to get this on screen right now, imagine getting it out of the tube and unrolling it and keeping it able to be signed.
Oh,
with a
trust
big
me, I've unrolled enough posters to know that they want to stay rolled.
They want to stay rolled. But the man, and this is the most like duh thing I'm going to say about him during the stream, is the man was incredibly patient and sat there and waited for me to unroll this flippin' poster. But there you go. That's one of the coolest things I got signed by him. Oh, I'm small again. Cool. And over the years, I actually have every year I got him to sign a few more things. So I have a pile. I have too many Akira Takarada signatures to show off in one stream. I have every movie.
Probably as tragic as this sounds, as insensitive as this sounds, you're probably sitting on a fortune now.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, Michael, our friend Michael, was jokingly trying to bribe me into selling him my Takarada signatures, and I told him no.
No, I will. If you would like to try to pry those out of my cold dead hands one day, you are willing. I'm going to be dead. I won't be able to stop you. But
I do think that my refusal was followed by a threat of murder. So,
I mean, I would lay down my life for my Takarada signatures.
Yeah. Just another reason he's canceled, right, Kim?
Yep, absolutely. I was just going to say.
Absolutely. But that was my first year. He signed a bunch of stuff for me. I have a picture that I got taken with him that year. It's actually framed in my living room right now. I did not grab it. 17-year-old me is not a flattering sight. But no, actually, I'm going to be honest. I look pretty much the same as I do now, except I don't have the scruff and I wasn't wearing that hat. That's the only difference.
So I see we have the same problem. I apparently stopped aging in college. So.
Yep.
Danny, you're telling me at one point you didn't wear that hat?
We thought you were born with it on.
I honestly thought that.
It's glued to his head.
It is. I alternate hats. Usually I wear hats on streams just because nobody wants to see what my hair looks like when it's not been.
I didn't think you had hair.
Oh, real? You know what? There are children watching. I'm not taking the hat off. I don't want to scare them. For the children!
For the children! But only because you brought up Monster Zero. But we have a question in here from Riley Roberts for you, Danny.
Oh, good
I should say
question.
one more thing, Daniel. Are you going to dedicate your novelization of Monster Zero and Godzilla versus the Sea Monster to him, or novelizations of Godzilla versus Mothra 92 or Godzilla Final Wars?
Absolutely, one of them. I'm not sure which. My tentative plan at the moment was to dedicate my GNP adaptation of Monster Zero to the memory of Mr. Nick Adams. There's no reason I can't do both of them. And one of those, and I'm also going to add his name to my list of, because I've dedicated the 1954 Godzilla novelization I started writing to everyone that has passed on that was a major force in that: Tanaka, Tsuburaya, Ifukube, Nakajima, the like, all of them. And his name, I actually am going to do that probably once I jump off the stream. I can just get on WordPress and I'll add it in.
Yeah.
Just to make good question, Riley. But one of those books, honestly, maybe Sea Monster, just because I love his character in Sea Monster.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little later.
Finish
your Takarada stories.
Yeah. So 2013, he came back again, and in 20, and I got a bunch more stuff signed by him. Nothing too crazy outstanding there. More pictures, just a gentleman. Lots of wonderful stories he told, and but 2016 was a different story. That he came back again that year. It was like 3-year intervals. He was there 2010, 2013, and then 2016. You couldn't stop. Like I said, he couldn't stop the guy from showing up. And I got the distinct feeling that he recognized me that year, and I thought that's wishful thinking. He sees thousands of people.
It's the hat you were born with.
It's the hat. Actually, I have a different Godzilla ball cap I wear at G-Fest all the time. Again, for horrible hair related reasons. It's you know what?
I'm just assuming that your hair is like a little shapeshifter on the top of your skull, and it just forms into a new hat. This
is my hair, actually, right here. This is my hair. It's laziness at G-Fest. I'm moving so fast. I think I get up, get ready for the day, and then wash my hair, and then put a hat on it so it doesn't look horrible and people don't have to see it. This is more about my hair than anybody wanted to know. Anyway,
Takarada.
Anyway, 2016 was the year I went. Sorry, I got distracted by the comments. That was the year I went to Tokyo. That's the year I went to Japan. And Angus is razzing me, but I went on that year's G tour, and I spent about 8 days in and around Tokyo, and I crossed so many things off my bucket list that I never thought I'd have a chance to even have a shot at. Things that I didn't even know were on that bucket list got crossed off during that trip. It was life affirming. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. Blah blah blah. I could talk forever about how amazing that trip was, but the one thing I want to mention is this. Everybody has their Takarada-san story. This is mine. This is my Takarada-san story. During the trip, it was made known to us that Takarada-san was going to be there was going to be a dinner. It was an optional dinner that was not initially part of the schedule for G Tour. And it was going to be a boat cruise dinner on Tokyo Bay with Akira Takarada and a boatload of Golden Age performers, actors, technicians, organized by Akira Takarada himself. The man called in some favors. He knew we were in Japan. G Tour was in Japan. And he actually called in a few favors for us during that trip, one of which was a visit to Toho that I actually had. There are things that happened during that visit that I'm literally not allowed to talk about 6 years later. So
non-disclosure agreement or something?
I didn't sign anything, but I wanted to honor Akira Takarada's request for discretion regarding some of the things we were able to do at Toho. So I'm not gonna get into it.
Oh yes, because Toho's kind of crazy about that.
Yeah, we're not going there. I didn't want to get him in trouble for anything, but he called in some favors, and one of the things that he did for us was invite us on a little river boat where all these actors were. Sojiro Uchino, who was an actor in Ultraman, Ultra Q, and he was a child actor in the 60s, and he was in a couple of the Gamera movies. The amazing Hiroko Sakurai, Fuji from Ultraman, was there. I don't recall the gentleman's name because tired, sad brain, but he was one of the suit actors for Ultra 7 in the 1990s. He was there. A nice handful of people, some special effects artists, some other suit actors. And we all just sat down next to each other and nerded out and ate dinner. And here comes Akira Takarada. He was a little bit late because he had to fend off hordes of admirers.
I love this part of the story.
Walking down the pier to get to us, he had to keep stopping because the ladies were like, Akira-san. And because
He's old enough to be their grandfather, and they're
Dude,
fawning over
Mr.
him.
Handsome.
There's, I was gonna
Mr.
say he was
Handsome.
called Mr. Handsome.
he was Mr. Handsome in the 60s, and by God, he was Mr. Handsome until he died.
He still is.
Look at that face. Look at that. Look
I mean,
at that
it's-
smile.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Handsome
same
man.
thing. I mean, we were talking about our stream about Sean Connery. It was the same thing with him. Women loved Sean Connery even when he was 90 years old.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, I don't want to be disrespectful to the memory of Sir Sean, but look at that face. Look at Tucker. Come on. Look at that face. He was just, and the man never looked his age either. When I first
Do
met
you
him,
agree with us, Kim? I just
I
want Mr. Handsome.
Yes.
Mr. Handsome,
Absolutely.
just a good-looking dude. And you got to understand. I mean, he was still acting and popular in Japan. He never lost his popularity. He was still. I mean, his last film is coming out, I think, next month in Japan, and of course, it's now.
Yeah, I can't
last
remember.
film.
I just
Jerry,
wrote the. I wrote
something
the
about
little
Jerry,
like. I wrote a little press release for the Kaiju
Mm-hmm.
Ramen website about his death. I'm trying to remember what that was.
It's
something
called
to do
the
with
Cherry Blossoms. I think
Cherry
it's
Blo-
just called
something
the
about-
Cherry Blossoms.
I saw two different titles, and one of them was the Cherry Blossoms, and then the other one was something Cherry Blossoms were doing, like when the cherries blossoms, something. I don't recall. Sorry, Akira. I will see your movie, but I don't remember the full name. But he comes down the pier, and he finally comes to greet us.
Your buddy Robert wants to add to the story. I remember at that dinner saying Ohio to him, and Dan was like, Rob, that means good morning. And I was like, oops.
I forgot about that. Robert was sitting right next to me the whole time.
And Jane Meyer agrees. He is quite a beauty.
He's a beautiful man. A beautiful man.
I mean, I found out that he was married for a while. He was married to the first Japanese Miss Universe. So
yes, he was.
He did very well for himself.
Yeah. He had to beat the ladies off with a stick, I think. But up until he passed away, I mean, the guy he had that perfect mix of good looks and charisma. And when I had dinner with him, he would have been, I'm not doing the math, but he was in his 80s, and he was still
no,
popular.
he would have been in his 70s. Oh, no,
it
would have been his early 80s.
Six years ago, he's 87. He would have been 81 or 82. But anyway, no, this is a sacred moment. We're not talking math. We're talking. We're not bringing math into this.
Danny DiManna has declared math unholy.
I agree.
End quote. Thank you, Kim. But yes, we all sat down and we had a meal together. He was sitting, I think there were 4 tables, and I was sitting at the second from the left, and he was at the table next to me. And it's just, I'm sitting down eating dinner, and Sojiro Uchino comes over with a big smile on his face and pours me beer out of his own beer bottle to refill me. Now, a little, I don't drink, for anybody out there who might not know. I don't drink, but I couldn't say no to the guy. So I respectfully took a sip and then didn't. I don't believe I finished it, but I wasn't going to say no to him. But it was just, I mean, blah blah blah. It was an amazing night. That was an amazing moment, and then it got better and more surreal, because this is what happened. This is what happened next. So at a certain point during the evening, I pulled out my phone because I was talking with somebody on the tour, and I mentioned that I was an artist and I did kaiju art, and I had literally I graduated art school, and then the next day I was on the airplane for Tokyo. Like, I was literally fresh out of art school. And art school, without getting too much into it, was awful. It was a horrific experience. Black math. Thanks, Jane. It was a horrific, art school is awful. And the teachers were unusual. They were just not nice. It wasn't like they critiqued me and I couldn't take it. That wasn't it. They were genuinely just not nice people. And I don't want to get into it, but art school had tuckered me out. It burned me out. But I was lucky enough to get to sneak a couple of kaiju things into my work during that time, including my sculptural work, because sculpture was my area of focus. And one of the things that I was able to do was there was a project that we did probably in 2012 or 2013 where we made teapots, and we learned how to make just ceramic teapots. And I decided that I was going to get creative with mine. A lot of them were the class was doing very, very pretty ones, just gorgeous work. But I thought, I'm going to do monsters. So I made a teapot and then sculpted it into the shape of the monster Varan, I love that design. And it was such a fun project. My teachers despised it. And they actually despised it so much that they wouldn't help me finish it. I was still learning. I didn't know how to operate the kiln at the time to fire it. So my teacher refused to fire it and actually let it sit there on the shelf, and then didn't fire it, and then failed me for not having finished the project because he wouldn't do the one step he needed to do.
That's so rude.
Oh, Kim, the horror. I could tell so many horror stories about that's one of the lesser bad things they did. I'm not even kidding. I'm not I know it's easy to exaggerate and say it's like, art school is bad. No, they were very mean to me. And eventually it did get fired, but it wasn't glazed. It was unfinished. And I took it home after that because there was no point. I tried to finish it a few times. My teachers would not let me work on it the way I wanted to. They wouldn't let me glaze it or fire it the way I wanted to. Art school drama. But needless to say, this piece, which I just loved, it's not perfect. It's not a great piece of art in like a grandiose sense, but I had fun making it. And it kind of became the poster child for a bad art school experience, and also kind of like am I on the right track? Is creativity where I want to go in my life? Is this the path I should take after getting out of art school and being browbeaten? Is it worth it to continue and be creative and try writing? I hadn't really done a lot of writing at the time. This was 2 years before the GNP launched, a year and a half before the GNP launched. And I thought, you know what? I'm on a boat full of tourists who are all G fans. Maybe they'll like this thing that I made. Maybe I'll get an honest critique. Like maybe somebody will say, ooh, you could have done better there. And I might learn from it in a genuine way. And I pulled up this picture of this teapot that I had made. And all of a sudden over my shoulder comes Sojiro Uchino. And he's looking at my phone. And he says, can I take a look? And I said, sure. And before I know it, all of these people who I've grown up with are passing my phone around. Baran, showing my phone. Baran, this. They're pointing at this monster, and they're realizing what it was, and they're like, very good, very good. And I was getting a lot, and I was like, oh my God, is this happening right now? Is this happening? That is insane. And then it gets handed to Takarada-san. And the whole room goes quiet as Takarada-san's the man who I watched walk on Planet X as a child is looking at my artwork. And he's looking at it, and he holds up the phone like so, and he says, you make this? And I said, yeah, that was me. I made that. And he looks at it again, and he says, can I buy?
We need some applause for that right now.
So the world stopped spinning for a second.
That's why that happened. Okay.
Yeah. If the world stopped spinning at a certain point on like the 27th of July, 2016, that is why. I'm sorry for being the reason the Earth stood still that one time.
Explains it.
Yes. I get asked about that a lot.
So Danny, I didn't realize that your remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still would involve this. Got it.
I would never remake that movie. It's a masterpiece. Anyway, the world stopped spinning for a second. I'm like, is he joking? Like, I almost didn't think he was serious. And I said, yeah, yes, yeah, uh-huh. Like, what do you say? What do you say when something like that happens? And he, without, I swear to God, he kept eye contact with me the whole time. With one deft movement of his hand, he reaches into his breast pocket, pulls out a business card, puts it on my phone, hands me the phone and the business card, and says, "Contact me."
That's amazing.
It is. This is where I get dangerously close to Waterworks territory. That piece, and actually, and I'll explain why this is here later, but this is the piece.
Oh man!
Because I never got to send it to him.
Aww.
I have it here, and I mean, I could be, sour about it and say that it's a reminder of something that never got to happen, but I'm choosing to believe that. I'm choosing to look at this and think of a man who. It's like he knew, man. It's like he knew. This thing meant so. Like it was such a sour spot for me because my passion has always been character work and character design, and thank you, Angus. And it was like the guy, he didn't know. There's no way he could have known what this piece represented, but he took something that was a source of joy initially, and it became a source of pain and question marks and self-doubt. And how many celebrities would do that for their fans? How many celebrities would genuinely? I'm not going to show it because it does have his contact information on it. But I have Akira Takarada's business card right over there.
English or Japanese?
English.
English.
It's got both. It's got both on it. But I did have his contact information.
Just so everybody knows, Jane Meyer is saying here in the chat, Mom said, give it to him as a thank you.
That was my plan, and I'll get to that part of the story here next. So that was, after that, the trip was still amazing. I did a lot of amazing things after that, but how do you top that moment? You don't. I haven't topped that moment yet in my life since. The man didn't know the gift he was giving me with that vote of confidence, and he was serious too, because the rest of the night I kept looking over at him, and every time he caught my eye, he would that twinkle in his eye, he would look at me and smile and go. He was like, almost like he knew I didn't quite believe it. Like he's like, I'm serious.
What makes it even better is he wasn't even in that movie.
No. This movie has nothing to do with Takarada-san. He was not in it. But I'm sure he's familiar with the face. Even if he didn't know who the character was, he still saw it and knew that it was something. How many people? Akira Takarada, damn, is the kind of guy who would buy art from somebody who liked his work. That is a testament to an amazing human being right there. And I went home with that memory in my head. I will never forget that memory. It's the most amazing thing. It's the most flattering thing. And I honestly credit that vote of confidence given to me by a man who, it talks to thousands and thousands of people, with really kind of spurring me on and reassuring me that I was on the right track being creative. It's possible I wouldn't have continued being an artist without that moment. It's possible that I wouldn't have even had the confidence to try writing and launch the GNP. So I credit that moment with a lot of what happened in my life after that. And I've thought about it a lot over the years, but I've had a lot to reflect on the last couple of days, how deeply important that moment was. Aside from just being really cool, astonishingly cool, it's just he did that for me, which just is so. What do you say? What do you say? And he did things like that for everyone. Is the thing. Like I really treasure this story deeply, but the man took the time to make his time with each fan special in their own way. Even if you just met him for a few minutes to have him sign something, or he photobombed you at G-Fest, or sat down and ate dinner with you, he did nice things like that for everyone. And what really, really sucks about it is the next 2 or 3 years, I struggled to try to find a way to finish it because this teapot is actually not done. It's still unglazed, which means it's not functional. It's actually very delicate. It has not gotten its final. This art nerd stuff, but it has not gotten its final firing. It needs to be waterproofed, and then it'll be functional because the the mouth is actually a spout and the water comes down the tongue. I designed it so that the water would pour down the tongue, and you could actually put tea in it and use it. It's functional. It's not just decorative. It's a real teapot. And I hoped to have it done in time for 2019 when he came back for that G-Fest, but I just couldn't find a way to, like, because you have to, I don't have a kiln, you know, that stuff's expensive. And so I struggled to find a way to do it. But I went back to G-Fest in 2019. And of course, that amazing opening ceremony thing happens with him breaking down in front of everyone. I'm crying. Everyone's crying. And the last day of the convention, during that last round of autographs, probably not around the time that's you, some of you guys were getting your autographs, I happened to be in front of the autograph table during a break when he wasn't there. And I see him walking down the hall towards his table with a group of people. And I kid you not, I have a witness who was there who could attest to this. He sees me. He stops. He walks away from the table and he walks towards me, sticks his hand out. Good to see you again. He did remember. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. I mean, obviously that the art, he wouldn't have forgotten that, but like the guy obviously remembered. And I shook his hand and gave him a little bow, respectful bow, and said, good to see you again too. And he smiled. And after that, his attention was obviously needed elsewhere. And he went back to the table. And it wasn't too much later after that I left the con for that year. And that was it. That was the last time I saw him. Yeah. And as of, I mean, I've still got, I mean, obviously I had his contact stuff, and the initial plan was, because I was going to mail this thing to him completely free of charge. I was, at this point, it's like, it's several years late. I will not accept money for this. It is a gift for all you have given me. I want you to have this, but shipping delays, COVID delays throughout 2020 and 2021 just made that difficult. I was worried about it getting damaged in transit. I really wanted to just hand it to him in person. And yeah. I mean, especially with how crazy shipping was, and Japan was just not accepting packages for a while or shipping things out for a while. It was just not a good time. And it drove me crazy because I had the thing ready to go, and I wanted to get it sent to him in the worst way. And then tentatively the plan was, as of a couple of days ago, the plan was for the two of us to meet up in Indianapolis in September for the All Monsters Attack Expo, so I could give it to him in person, finally deliver it to him. And now, yeah, for the worst possible reasons, I will never get to give it to him now. And it was supposed to be this year, finally. The fact that he would have been willing to accept it after all those years that's something very, very special to me. You know, just that I could have walked up to him and said, here is this. So when he passed and I got the news, that thought that I wouldn't be able to fulfill that thing for him really, really hit me hard. And it really did dawn on me that in a way I did kind of form a relationship with the guy, and not more or less than any other fan. I mean, I was just a fan at the end of the day, still am, but he gave me an incredible gift. Just that vote of confidence, the fact that he was willing to, the guy wanted to buy the darn thing. I mean, and he wasn't kidding. He wasn't kidding, because I kept thinking he's got to be messing with me. There's no way. He's a funny guy. He's doing something. But, you know, that's who he was. He was a generous man. He was a kind man. He loved us as much as we loved him. And, yeah, so this is going to be, I dearly wish this was with him right now, this piece of art, but, it's going to stay with me, at least for the time being. And, I'm choosing to associate happy thoughts with it.
Yeah. I was going to ask what you plan to do with this, if you were going to keep it or, donate it to a charity auction like at G-Fest or something like that, because they do that every year.
I'm jury's out. I'll say that. if I understand that the Takarada family is not currently accepting physical objects, cards, flowers, or anything like that. If that ever changes, I might send it to them. Pardon me. I might send it to them, but I don't know if it would necessarily mean anything to them. I don't know if it, because I don't want to send something for my benefit. I want to send something for their benefit. I'd rather send something that, it would be me getting something off my shelf and like, maybe getting some closure, but that I don't want to do anything that doesn't help them because they're the ones who lost someone. And once they do open up to receive things, I will be at least saying something to them and reaching out and talking with them, at least sending them a message. But yeah, that's my story. That's my story.
Well, I was going through the chat, and according to Miss Meyer, there's another one that you need to share.
Yes.
I remember the moment Mr. Takarada walked down the hallway at the hotel in Rosemont in his kimono. Quite the presence, almost royal.
I do remember that. He came down the hall, and like if I think if the fans had been able to do so, they'd have put him on a pedestal and carried him around, like carried him in state. But
I went to Indiana Comic-Con like 5 years ago or so, and they had Ian McKellen, Ian McDermott, excuse me.
Also cool.
Yeah, Ian McDermott, who famously played Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars movies, and the 501st Legion, which is a hardcore international Star Wars cosplay club. They had several of them dressed like stormtroopers, and they escorted him everywhere, and he looked like he was relishing every moment of that. So probably would have been something similar, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's my very long story. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm like the guy was my best friend. No, obviously not. And I don't want to come across as bragging or anything like that. But
yeah,
I wanted to share it. I told that story in the Kaiju Ramen piece. I recently shared. I mean, I've told it a few times, but I don't talk about it often because, again, I always think I'm thinking about it too hard. But I always worried that someone's going to be like, "You braggart, you."
I understand.
Yeah, so I haven't really talked about it that much. It's like, the movie star wanted to buy my I'm not that kind of person. But,
I said, he was very much like they call him the Godfather of G-Fit. He was like our kaiju fandom grandpa for all of us, right?
Godzilla fandom lost a father figure, and in kind of a, and again, this might come across as cheesy, hopefully not. Takarada-san was an ambassador for Godzilla-dom. He kept the anti-nuclear peaceful message of the original film alive. He continued to talk about it very highly. He promoted it. He made sure that people didn't forget. Every time something horrible happened in the world, he would call for peace, and he would talk about Godzilla. Mm-hmm. He would say, if Godzilla saw this, he'd be very sad, because I'm sad. And I feel like Godzilla himself, in as much as you can say a fictional character exists, perhaps the better way to say it would be the legacy of the character in the franchise, has lost an ally. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. Like, mm-hmm. he used to call himself Godzilla's classmate because they started out together in 1954. And I love that. And sometimes he would say he was Godzilla's classmate. Sometimes he would say Godzilla was his classmate. But he usually said it to put Godzilla above himself. Like, I was in the class with Godzilla.
Godzilla was his senpai.
So Godzilla was his if not his senpai, then at least his classmate and somebody who graduated with him into the film world. And I just can't shake the feeling that, and again, this might be esoteric, but Godzilla is alone now. if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's
because everyone from the original movie is gone.
yeah, and again,
basically.
there are a few people. I mean, Sahara-san is still with us. I saw in
Mhm.
the chat that
The chat, yeah.
Riley mentioned Akira Kubo. He was not in the original movie, but he is still with us. There are a handful of
yeah. We
Golden
still
Age
have a
people.
handful of that classic Toho era still around. Kumi Mizuno, still.
Kumi-san is still around. There's a nice handful of people. Yukiko Kobayashi is still around. She was just in Great Buddha Arrival.
So was Mr. Takarada.
So was Mr. Takarada.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
It wasn't the last movie he was in, but it was the last, I guess you could say, kaiju or toku movie that he was in.
It's interesting, and I wish it wasn't his last, but in a way it's fitting because he spends his scenes in the film talking about the original Godzilla and about having been in it. So it's almost autobiographical in a way.
Yeah, in a
like he's
way,
playing himself.
and I watched the movie. Has anyone else here seen Great Buddha Arrival?
I have.
Yeah, you have that yet, Kim? Yeah. It's worth a watch. It's weird. It's a weird little movie, but it's worth a watch.
I love it.
And I find it's interesting because I watched it a few months ago after I got it from SRS, and I just watched the Omni Viewers review of it today. And one of the things that his video reminded me of is that, interestingly, a major theme of that film is death. And but it's also about life, and
Sure.
because the whole again, it's a very, we want to talk about an esoteric movie. But but the whole reason that the Buddha statue moves is when there's great calamity, and it actually in one scene of the movie actually stops somebody from committing suicide. So it's meant to be an agent of life, and so it seems weirdly appropriate.
Yeah, and
I mean, you had one of those watershed moments, because of Takarada. He spoke life to you in a way.
He spoke belief and life to me, and again to a lot of people, just by being a friend to people and being available and just treating himself like he was not as important as the other people in the room, meaning the fans. Yeah, I'm done talking. I've talked a lot.
Yeah.
I wanted to jump in and build off of what was just brought up. In 2020, on Takarada's 86th birthday, the official Toho Godzilla English Twitter account and Instagram, I think, posted a letter from Takarada. Him saying thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. And it's very flattering. But in the third part of his letter, he said, and I quote, "I have performed in 6 Godzilla movies, but every time I hear his roar, it makes my heart wrench, as it makes me feel this is its cry of profound sadness." And in a way, I kind of feel like with Takarada's passing, the original unfiltered idea of Godzilla has passed. Now, the idea is still there, but that original unfiltered, like, generational story of him is no longer present. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does. And I feel like that's, yeah, I mean, you said it very well, I think, and I agree on one hand, but I feel like it's something that we're saying and feeling in a moment of profound sadness, because with him, the original film, not having that tether from then to now, like I mentioned before, with Takarada-san still being alive and still being an ambassador for that film, does make that film feel a little more distant, and it makes it teeter on the precipice of relic status. But at the same time, that's not true. That's all perception. That's all in the moment how we're feeling, because in reality, this man might no longer be with us, but the film is still there, and it still very much speaks for itself. Just because he isn't there to speak for it doesn't mean that it cannot speak for itself, although it feels like it has to work harder now. But since it has to work harder, even though he's not there to speak for it, we are.
Right.
We are. And it is now more important than ever that we continue to do that, and we continue to share and like just continue to get these movies, especially that first one, in front of new eyeballs, and to make sure that, I mean, it's amazing to me that after almost 70 years and, you know, various attempts to shed light on that original film, there's still this veneer of cheese and misunderstanding that will always permeate it and the series in general outside of Japan. Like there's just a big wall there that no amount of press or screenings of the original movie or big Hollywood reboots, as much as I love them all, there's just that veneer of misunderstanding and cheese that is not present in the film, that people who haven't seen it believe is there because they're assuming it's there. And without Takarada-san to say, oh, no, this movie was very powerful and had a message, it falls on us to continue to be ambassadors in his stead. And I'll get into more of that, I think, to kind of as kind of a series of final thoughts when we get to our final thoughts, because I don't want to jump ahead, but I understand we have a slightly happier topic, Nate.
Yes. I wanted us, I mean, I've this whole stream I've been teetering on, do I want to talk about the first movie that we saw with Takarada? Do I want to talk about our favorite movie with Takarada? But what I'm settling on is I want us to talk about what is our favorite Takarada character or performance. That's what I want. That's what I want to hear from everybody. Not your favorite movie, because it could be your favorite movie, and Takarada is just a part of it. That may not be why you love it. Tell me your favorite Takarada character or performance. Elijah, we'll start with you.
Oh, I get to go first.
If you don't want to, it's okay. We can.
No, I know exactly where I was going.
All right.
So, you know, obviously I'm a Showa nerd. I love Showa, right? But my film is not the Showa era. As much as I love him in 54 and Sea Monster and Monster Zero, the film that, for me, makes Takarada iconic, I don't know if iconic's the right word, but memorable, was his character in Final Wars. His presence in that film, you know, you've got Don Fry, who's just memorable, and you've got this amazing, like, just fun cast. And in all of that, you have two Toho actors that stand out more so than anybody else. And that is Akira Takarada. And that is why is her name escaping me?
Kumi Mizuno.
Yes. I can't speak right now. I'm tired. But yes,
You're fine,
those two transcend everybody else in that film. Their presence is just, it is there. Their charisma, their talent, everything is present. And I think Takarada looked amazing with that beard. I just gotta be like, he could rock a beard.
He totally can.
He still had that beard when I met him in 20 no, but before, oh no, I'm remembering wrong. He had it right up until he went to G-Fest 2010 and he shaved it off. So I almost got to see him with the beard, but I didn't.
It was great. He had an amazing outfit too. Like, he rocked that. But you know, when in the film, when you think he died,
Here, I found it. There you go.
yeah,
There it is.
Not the best picture. Well, there you go.
Like, whenever Rodan flies by the airplane and you thought he died. Like, as a kid, I don't think I didn't know him by name. I didn't know Akira Takarada, but something about his character in that film was like, no, like
Yeah.
just his.
Well,
his
what's
presence.
kind of fun is that he got to play two characters in that. Technically,
He
got to
did.
play his. I don't remember his character's name in there, but the human character. They got to play an alien in disguise.
He did.
He got to be a Zillion.
And then when he comes back, not the alien, but when he comes back and, he saves our main protagonist and he's like, they called me Mr. Bullseye. It's like, yes, yes.
All right, well, depends on the translation because it's either Mr. Bullseye, Mr. Two Shot, or Mr. One Shot or something like that.
But that was a callback to one of his earlier films, and like when you learn that, it's like that is just so rich of a callback, of a reference, of a line, and the fact that he got to do that was just it was so amazing.
Was that 100 shot, 100 killed?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just making sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forget, was he the one? It's been a hot minute since I've seen Final Wars. Was he the one who was got the head split open so you saw what the alien, the aliens
that's
actually?
him.
So he had that big moment.
That's awesome.
So Final Wars for me, even though the film, you can argue its quality, I think it's just so memorable and so fun and just so.
For me, one of the best part about Final Wars is the cast.
The cast
Takarada,
is solid.
Don Fry, everybody in that movie is working really hard to sell you on this just absolutely just outrageous film. It is a truly outrageous film, and having Takarada in it, I feel like it's almost, and I don't want to make such a lofty comparison here, but it's almost like having the his name is escaping me now, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ewan McGregor?
Alec
Guinness?
Alec Guinness.
Guinness.
It's like having Alec Guinness in the original Star Wars. This classical, very experienced actor who comes into what might have honestly have just been almost a silly B movie, and he elevates it by his presence.
I like to call that Betsy Palmer syndrome because of her and Betsy Palmer being in Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Because she needed a new car. And then it became one of her most famous roles.
or Bela Lugosi in anything after Dracula. I mean,
Plan 9.
Sad. Poor Bela.
And one last thing, because I just thought about this. So for me, and I think a lot of other people do this, for me, Final Wars was the end of Godzilla as I know it. That is the end of the classic Toho era. After that, we have not went back to Suit Nation. The Ifukube themes have returned, but a lot of times they've been reinvented. The classic water pool that they used was destroyed after that. Final Wars was the end of Godzilla that we grew up with.
It's a bookend film.
It is.
Yeah.
And as of currently, this was Takarada's last time in a Godzilla film.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw this out here into the ether right now. Gareth Edwards, Warner Brothers legendary.
Please
give us his cameo in 2014.
I
have seen it. If you go to the right corners of the YouTube, you can find it. I demand. Okay, I don't need a new cut of the movie with it. Although if you did that and brightened it up, that would be great.
Take that.
But yeah, but if you can at least give us a new Blu-ray with that included as a special feature, shut up and take my money. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I almost tweeted about that today. I put it out there into the world. I didn't want it to come across as rude, so I decided against it. But I think I might actually make that tweet anyway and just be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
legendary,
I've already seen somebody make that tweet, and I retweeted it.
I think it's time.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Kim.
Hi.
What is yours? What is your who is your favorite Takarada character and/or performance?
So I guess I'm gonna have to go with his performance in Sea Monster. His character's name is escaping me at the moment.
Yashimura.
Yes.
Yashimura.
Our friend Michael. Yeah, Michael canceled Hamilton agrees with you. His performance in Ebra is second to none and really shows his range as an actor. He also says Monster Zero will always be my favorite. The thing that makes me happiest is knowing Glenn and Fuji are reunited. But tell us.
Yes.
I'm gonna get
tell
to
us
that
more.
line.
But tell us more, Kim. Why is that one your favorite?
Because he's kind of a jerk, but he's like a likable jerk in that film. So, but he gets some like redeeming qualities towards the end. Like he kind of like redeems himself a little bit. Even at the end, at least in the English dub, he says like, "Oh, I'm gonna go straight from now on." So it's like, yay, character development. So yeah, that's my short and sweet answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find a picture right now. So, here we go. This is a good one. But what's fun about him in that one is that suddenly he's not the young guy anymore. He's hanging out with a bunch of young guys.
Yeah.
So he comes across more as like this, he's more worldly compared to the rest of them. And he's a thief. It's a very classical Hollywood thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's a thief.
He's got a suitcase full of money and everything.
He's a cat burglar.
Yep. Here he is. Look at that devil.
That moment when he pops out of the bed with the gun is that's my favorite. I mean, I'm not going to jump.
That's the best moment.
That's my favorite Takarada moment. Just because he's like, "What are you varmints doing on my lawn?" Like he's gone straight up.
Like I said, it's very classical Hollywood. The only thing and then we get to see his skills as a thief later on in the movie. I was just like, dude, give me a caper movie about bank robber Takarada. I will watch it.
Well, he did get to play a spy character.
Iron Finger,
yeah. So it's about it's the same director. A lot of
I need to see that movie.
Yeah,
it's on the Criterion channel.
It's on Criterion channel.
That's more money for a streaming service I have to pay for. Wonderful.
I'm with you, Kim. I don't have the Criterion channel, so I haven't watched it on there yet.
Is it on HBO Max? I know a lot of Criterion stuff's on HBO Max.
I don't have that either.
I don't know. I mooch it from a family member. It's the only reason I have it. It's the only reason. Otherwise, I just wouldn't, because I'm such a disc person. But I'm with you there. I'm with you, but unfortunately, some things are only available on streaming. But yeah, that one is really fun. I'm just gonna say this now. I've been thinking long and hard about it, and and between this or Fuji in Monster Zero, personally, but I honestly I love both of these performances so much. Like I said, this is such classic Hollywood right there. And like I said, at this point, he's the older guy. I mean, he was probably pushing about 30, I'm guessing, at this point. And then so he got all these young 18-year-olds, and these are the new up and coming actors. They're where he was 10 years before this. And they're getting to be in their first big movie, and it's a Godzilla movie. And so I have a feeling that he was probably being a bit of a mentor for them behind the scenes, and not just in this, where he's the thief who's a little cantankerous, who's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, he's so okay. Frustrated Akira Takarada is very good Akira Takarada. Like when he snaps the gun gets snapped in half and he just throws it. Or when he's just yelling at people, because he could go from like this very kind of charming, charismatic man, and now he's like, "Get off my boat!"
yeah. That was the great thing about him in that film. I know that Ebra Horror of the Deep, Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, I know that gets ragged on a lot. It was on MST3K.
It's so good.
Probably because it was on MST3K.
I guess.
But I get it. And, Giant Lobster and all that. But again, the performances, the direction, the writing, it's all there. And it's a fun little movie. it is such a fun little movie, and he brings a lot to it. Again, like I said, he basically elevates everything he's in to some degree or another. And it's a wonderful character, just wonderful character. Danny, do you want to share yours?
Was that your answer? That was okay.
I think I'm gonna go with Fuji.
Okay, I did. Yeah.
It's tough, but I think I am gonna go with Fuji.
Yeah,
but because Fuji, I mean, the movie is fantastic, and the thing that makes that one, I'm trying to find a picture here. So I'll see if I can keep talking while I'm doing this. Here, this is a good one. Well, what makes that one so good is it's a little bit of the metatextual in that as well. I love that this is, he's playing a guy who is his best friend is American. It's very indicative of Japan and the United States at the time. I hope this is there we go. So here I got it up right here. Him and Glenn right there.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah. And they work on their chemistry together is just so good.
You should have left your sister packed in ice.
He's the overbearing older brother. Yeah.
I love watching them just like elbow each other and do the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah. And what's great is that I don't think they couldn't necessarily talk to each other. They didn't understand each other's language. And you got Nick Adams speaking English the whole time, and Takarada speaking Japanese, but you wouldn't know when you watch. Doesn't matter if you watch the movie in Japanese or the dub, you wouldn't know that they couldn't understand each other. Like they knew what each other were saying because they could read the script and know how to respond.
The magic of the Toho show-averse, where you've got these two people that are each communicating in their own language, and there's no question of whether they understand each other or not. It's so good.
It takes remarkably talented actors to do that. But like I said, what sells it for me is their rapport. That is the best. I think that's what that might be like. The thief in Sea Monster might be my favorite singular performance from him, but what elevates this one just a tiny bit past it is how well he works with Nick Adams. I think that's probably what inches it out for me. I think the Sea Monster character is probably a more interesting character, but this, just what he did to make this is just so incredibly good. And like I said, when you think about it metatextually, it's everything that we love about these movies. What Honda always talked about, right? This brotherhood of man, Japan and the United States working together, and as allies, as friends, and 20 years before this, maybe even 10 years before this, nobody would have thought of making a movie like this with a Japanese guy and an American best friends. What new spore of madness is this?
It was very forward thinking. It was very now we also have to give credit where credit is due. It was also a very money based situation, because Saperstein was like, throw a white dude in the movie and it'll make more money in the States. But Honda didn't approach it like that. Honda was the Brotherhood of Man guy, so he filmed it as if like it's people are. Racism is stupid.
But what's great about it is nobody makes a big deal about it.
Nobody makes a big deal, and that's
here's Nick Adams. He's like the one white guy hanging out in Japan with all these people. Nobody cares,
and it's like why? And then you stop and think, wait, why would you care? Why would you? Nobody should care. Like it's just. Well,
it's not only humans, that, but it's just like nobody has to be like, no one has to sit down and have a very special moment, with the whole thing. It just is.
It's crazy to think about how unique that was in 1965. It's crazy to think about that now, all these years later, but it really was. And I love the moment that always. It epitomizes that for me is the moment on Monster X. Listen to me, Planet X, where
look, wrong movie. Final Wars on the brain.
I do have Final War. That's Elijah's fault. I love that movie. where Fuji puts the flag on Planet X, and it has a Japanese and an American flag on it.
And I believe the UN flag as well.
Yes. I believe it has all three, and there's something about that. It's such a. It's kind. You know what it is. You'll
And you know
appreciate
what's
this, Nate.
crazy? That was 3 years before the moon landing.
Yes, 3 years before the moon landing. But you'll appreciate this, Nate. I always felt that scene was very Roddenberry-esque.
Yes.
Where that unity was presented as, no, duh, we're all humans. Why is this such a hard concept to understand? And it's very subtle, but the idea of, even just 20 years after the war, putting a flag on a planet with those two flags on it was significant. And Takarada-san got to be a part of that moment. He's the one what planted the flag. And it's a moment that doesn't get talked about enough. It's an aspect of the film that I don't think it's talked about enough. But beyond all the
it's so funny because I think this film holds the record for the least amount of screen time for any of the kaiju. We have 3 kaiju in this. I think Godzilla himself is in it. What, 3 minutes? 5 minutes?
5 or 6 minutes now.
And then the total screen time for all the kaiju is maybe 7-8 minutes. Because Ghidorah is in it by himself sometimes, and Rodan was in it a little bit by himself sometimes.
There's only 4 major sequences with the monsters at all. Now,
and they're all very short. But this remains one of the most popular entries in a franchise that spans almost 70 years and 30 plus movies.
Yeah.
Despite the fact when people want to complain about Godzilla not having enough screen time in any of these new movies, and I'm like, but you love Monster Zero, right?
Yeah.
Why do you love Monster Zero? He's in it for 5 minutes.
Now, there's other aspects of the movies that are worth throwing into that equation, like the balance and all that. But for my money, I've never been a monster screen time minute counter. I just don't get any pleasure from that. I just like watching the movies. I don't care how much or how little the monsters are on screen. I never thought of that as even being a thing until I got online and people were talking about it.
Yeah.
But
well, Monster Zero has a lot of things going for it. Takarada is just one of them.
I just want to make sure that we give credit because I know 2 of the people in here are writers, and I'm surprised you people didn't give him credit. The amazing Shinichi Sekizawa. Like, his writing was just phenomenal. And like this film is prime, like a great example of how that worked. He was able to write these characters very well.
One of his best. It's one of his best in a filmography of exclusively good characters. This is one of his. These are 2. We are right here. These are 2 of his best characters.
Kim, what are your thoughts on Monster Zero? So we've been talking a lot about it, so I just want to hear what you think.
It's one of my favorites, actually. It's one of the first Godzilla movies that I've seen, so it holds a special place in my heart for sure.
Yeah. It's such a good movie. It's the second one I saw the whole way through.
I love it.
Yeah,
like I said, it's so hard to pick, and Takarada's been in. He's been in 6 Godzilla films. It was almost the 7th, and he was in a bunch of other Toho Tokusatsu stuff. He was in Half Human. He was in
King Kong Escapes.
Latitude
Zero.
Latitude. I love
Zero.
I love that weird movie. I adore Latitude. That is legitimately one of my favorite movies. I love Latitude Zero, perhaps more than I should. I guess I gotta pick a role, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm actually gonna look up his filmography really quick.
Go for it.
Keep talking.
I'm gonna split my answer into 2 and keep it brief. I promise.
Pick one. No, pick one.
Well, I'm gonna do a Godzilla one, and I'm gonna do a non monster movie one because I feel like that's an aspect of his career that should be talked about. So briefly, it's hard to pick. I mean, it's 6 roles throughout the Godzilla films that I just adore, and but for me, I'm gonna go with Sakai from Mothra vs. Godzilla as my favorite. I'm gonna go with him for a couple of reasons, but. Okay, 2 reasons. One, it's the first Godzilla movie I saw the whole way through. I started out with Godzilla 2000, but then after that I jumped right into the series with Mothra versus Godzilla in the versus the Thing version on VHS. And
he was in the Three Treasures.
He's in the Three Treasures briefly. And
so was everybody at Toho.
Everyone who wasn't in Battle in Outer Space is in Three Treasures.
Yeah, the Last War. Oh my gosh.
Okay, yeah, you're jumping ahead a bit, Nate. But that's actually no, you're fine because I actually brought it. That's my pick for non kaiju.
Yeah, we'll finish Mothra versus Godzilla and then tell us about the Last War.
I'm giving Sakai my vote because he's not as flashy as Fuji. It's not as good a media role, and he's not as good in it as he is in Ebirah or the Sea Monster. That I think is his best, most dynamic Godzilla film role. I just don't think that one can be beat. But Sakai means a lot to me because that was the first.
Holy crap, guys!
What?
He was the Japanese voice of Jafar in Kingdom Hearts 2.
You didn't know that? Yeah, he was Jafar. He was Jafar for the official dub of the film of Aladdin, and he was in Kingdom Hearts. He played the role a lot.
He did some dub work in some other interesting American films.
Cats. Cats. He was in also in the Disney parks too. He was I don't remember which animal he was, but you know how when you go to the Country Bear Jamboree, there's those 3 taxidermy animal heads on the wall that introduce the show. He was one of them. I think he was the moose. I don't remember which character he was, but he was one of those. He was also the voice of what was the name of the creature from Star Wars Rebels, the big force sensitive force monster from the
from Star Wars. I know who you're talking about. In the original version, he was voiced by dang it, he was the doctor.
Yes. I love it.
It's gonna bug me till I remember. I feel like a terrible nerd.
Nerd alert.
Bad Star nerd Wars alert. Fans. No, I'm just kidding. No,
it was Baker, but not Colin Baker. Colin Baker was a different
Bradley D. Baker?
No,
never mind. Are we talking about voice actors in Star Wars?
Yeah. Anyway,
doesn't matter. Well, this is a different stream. But Sakai gets my vote for nostalgia. I'm going to admit it, but he also gets my vote because again, teed off Akira Takarada is very fun to watch, and watching his interplay with Junko is just delightful because she's trying so hard. And she's doing her best, and he's being a jerk. Frankly, he's being a complete he's impatient. He's snapping at her. It's but it's a very good performance. It's hard to watch because he's being so mean to poor Yuriko Hoshi. But it's a great he could turn off the charm and be a jerk very, very quickly. But as the film goes on, he softens, and his moment on Infant Island, where he delivers his Brotherhood of Man speech to follow up on the speech that Junko gives, is one of my favorite Takarada moments of all time, where he says, and I'm going to quote the dub specifically, but it's the same sentiment across both versions, is just as you mistrust us, so do we mistrust others as well. It's wrong, he says. It's wrong. We're related. We owe it to each other to help one another. Yep. We have to learn to listen. Yes, we have to learn to listen, to help one another. Refuse us and you abandon your brothers. And again, that's the English version, but it's pretty much this. It's comparable across the two versions, and I just think that's such a powerful moment. And it's also an interesting moment because I feel like Hoshi's speech is far more impassioned, and it's a moment where, again, rather unique for a film in the 1960s, Honda loved to give those big pivotal moments to his female characters. And Hoshi's character delivers this poignant plea to the Islanders, and it's her words that move Mothra, and then it's Sakai who builds off of what she said, but she laid the foundation. He wouldn't have spoken up if she hadn't said anything. And it's a moment where these two characters that were butting heads earlier in the movie play off of each other so beautifully. And she delivers this beautiful speech. All men are equal before God. God plays no favorites. whichever subtitle version you want to go with. And then she becomes like, she says this thing, it's an emotional moment, and then he basically finishes what she was trying to say and helps her, and it's her words and his help that ultimately sway Mothra. And it's just a beautiful moment. And it's, to me, whenever I think of the Brotherhood of Man thing that Honda loved, I always think of those two characters saying those two speeches, and it's basically one speech that two people give, and I just love it. But the last thing I'll say ever so briefly is, if anybody out there has not seen The Last War, here it is, and there's Takarada-san right on the front.
Oh, okay. I was going to. I had that actually pulled up because I couldn't find a screenshot of him in the movie. But
yeah,
I
that's
had
the poster. It's also got Frankie Sakai. He's on the poster there in a non-comedic role. In fact, he'll break your heart in this film. And you got a lot of familiar faces in this film. But I'll be as brief about this as I can. This is not a kaiju movie, but it might as well be.
Yeah. It's a tokusatsu film.
It's a tokusatsu film, and I think in a lot of ways I've always likened it to the original Godzilla if you pulled the sci-fi element out of it. It's the same anti-nuclear message, but it's far more. I mean, this was years later, and all of the tension and the fear and the anger and the pain that had to be expressed through Godzilla as a fictional stand-in for all of the horrors of nuclear war, all of the metaphor is gone from this film. It is in your face. This is the difference that 6 years or 7 years makes. This film came out in 1961, and there's something fitting about Takarada-san being in it because of his association with the original Godzilla. The Last War is not necessarily a perfect film by any stretch, but I consider it one of the most poignant and genuinely powerful anti-war films ever made. I wish it had an official release in America.
Me too.
This is not an official
Hey, Criterion!
Release. Hey,
this
Criterion.
is perfect for you.
This is primo Criterion territory. Please, if you're listening, or if this ever gets back to you, I'd love a disc. I mean, at the very least, throw it on the streaming service. But Mike, just put it on a Blu-ray, please. Give us a physical version. This movie is Shuei Matsubayashi is the director, and it's a hard watch. I've only seen it a few times because you really got to be in a good headspace to get through it. This is a film where nuclear war is hanging over the possibility, the promise of nuclear war is hanging over the heads of all the characters. And the end of the film, without giving too much away, pulls approximately 0 punches.
You might have -5
it
punches.
might be in the negatives when it comes to depicting nuclear
Takarada
war.
in this, if I remember right, he's a
sailor.
sailor again.
He's a
He's a Japanese Navy man, and he's just about to get married. That's the big thing. That's the big emotional tie.
And Yuriko Hoshi is in it again. Same as, they would be repaired in Mothra versus Godzilla 3 years after this. And whereas they were like butting heads on screen in that film, in this film, they are tender lovers, and they are just madly, passionately in love with each other. And they're the emotional, romantic core of the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Frankie Sakai is a family man.
Frankie Sakai is Hoshi-san's father, and he's, I'm not going to go into a whole plot synopsis on this.
I understand. I'm just making context. So you're like, that's
no, you're
fine. No,
that was just directed at the listeners. Like, this is. I could go on and on about how amazing this film is, but I won't be able to do it justice. And frankly, I don't want to spoil it. But if you're interested in venturing outside of Takarada-san's, like a Chanbara film, or like a drama or a comedy or a musical or anything like that, this is, aside from like stuff like Iron Finger, and this is a good place to start, because it has the tone of a Godzilla film in a lot of ways, but the metaphor of the monster is missing, and it just shows you the nukes. Whatever Godzilla was representing in that first film is just shown to you in this movie with no metaphorical barrier, and it's it is a brutal movie. I have to be very careful about when I watch it and how I watch it, but it is masterful. And however you can watch it. I mean, this is one of those instances where I dearly wish it was available, but however you can
there
see
were
it.
films like this produced in the United States, but this is a distinctly Japanese take on the same fear.
Is it, Danny? Is it kind of like Virus 1980?
A little bit, actually.
Okay.
It's kind of analogous. I think a better comparison, in a weirdly enough, would actually be Great Prophecies of Nostradamus.
Oh, good lord!
but not tonally, and certainly not Yoshimitsu Banno. It's there's not a lot of that, but the threat of annihilation at the hands of ourselves is a theme that's obviously big in Great Prophecies of Nostradamus, and it's in this one too. But obviously, Nostradamus has fantasy and sci-fi elements and crazy Toho science, and this film is Last War is very grounded. Mm-hmm. It feels they do kind of the Realistica approach where they don't name drop America and the Soviet Union. They use two fictional countries to represent them, but it's clear what they're supposed to be. And there's actually a lot of sequences of those two sides almost launching nukes, but then not, because there's literally an entire sequence where one of the sides, I don't recall if it's the one that's supposed to be the Russians or the Americans, but something happens and the nuke is going to be launched by accident. Like they're going to accidentally launch it, and they spend this entire sequence.
I it's actually. I want to say that might be the pseudo Russians.
The pseudo Russians. I don't remember what they're called. They're called like the Alliance and the Federation. Something generic. Yeah. I don't think that's what it actually is. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. Very generic, one word, and they're obviously supposed to be what you think they are, but they have to try to stop this thing from going off, and it's like this tense moment where they cut the wire, and the guy who's in charge of the base literally he breaks down and weeps because of how close nuclear war came to happening, and you realize that neither side necessarily wants to push the button, and it's just very, very powerful. And the reason I bring it up is because the dialogue in this film that comes specifically from Takarada-san's character, his name is Takano in the film. He has one scene in particular where he's walking with Hoshi-san, and he's talking about, nuclear war and how easy it is to accidentally push the button. And that's what leads into the scene where the button almost gets pushed. But he speaks about mankind, being in charge of these weapons that they shouldn't be in charge of, and harnessing these energies that they shouldn't have. And he speaks of peace. He speaks of war. And I mentioned that because it was almost like the character went away. Those were Takarada-san's real feelings. He might as well, because if you listen to interviews with him talking about, he was very staunchly anti-nuclear his entire life, which is one of the reasons the message of the original film resonated with him so much. This movie is very much the gloves coming off for Takarada. He made that. This is like I'm going to show those nukes. Put up your dukes. I'm going to punch your nukes. Sorry, that was not funny. But
I thought it was funny.
I did too.
I demand a GNP T-shirt with that now.
I still have to
with Takarada with boxing gloves.
Put up your dukes. I'm gonna punch out your nukes. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
That sounds a little bit more Nick Adams there, but
yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. The enemy is very powerful. You better do something spectacular. But
if I ever have Nick Adams by some act of Godzilla show up on the show, I think you're voicing him.
Oh no, I will practice. I cannot. I have tried. I don't think my Nick Adams is up to snuff at all. I'll practice it though, and I'll get back to, in Defense of the Earth. We're gonna fight to the last man, baby. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I gotta practice. It's not good. I gotta practice it, but that's my next impression I need to work on.
Real quick, I just want to make sure I'm not the only one. Kim, have you seen Last War?
No.
Okay, good. We're in the same boat. Thank God.
I recommend it highly to both of you. But
I would love to watch all of these films, but I don't have a way to watch them at the moment. So
I tell you what, Kim,
talk to me after the stream, Kim. I can hook you up.
I gotta
yes.
have that official release. I got my principles. My principles.
you got your scruples, boy. Your scruples. Yeah. Listen, man. I'm the same way. I don't necessarily like treading outside the boundary. I'm kind of a Boy Scout. I don't like treading outside the boundaries of the law. But listen, if they don't,
Takarada is technically in a banned movie, so
I know. Listen, if the movie is not available to see, if the powers that be have like refused to allow the movie to be watched, I want to watch it. My way around it is anytime a movie, like let's say for example, The Last War gets announced for release tomorrow from Criterion, I buy it. I buy the official release. I support the official release. I don't just stick with the bootleg. Every time and Mill Creek announces a new Ultraman Blu-ray, I replace a bootleg. Every time. I could just keep those, but I want Tsuburaya, because Chayo's not in the picture anymore, I want Tsuburaya to get my money. I want Ultraman to be popular in the United States, so I'm going to support it. So whenever something official comes out, I get the official version no matter what. And sometimes I'll get 2 copies if I'm feeling extra guilty. because I don't know. I need help. But
yes, you do. Yes, you do. But don't we all on this stream?
No, I'm fine.
Kim's doing fine. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Kim's great.
She's just like, I'm hanging out with all the weirdos.
I'm used to y'all. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Also, I just want to throw this. Just as a visual aid, I just want to throw this out there. Give us this legendary. Give it to us now.
Do it. Actually,
Hashtag release the Takarada scene.
Peer pressure.
Yes. Yes.
No, it's not peer pressure. It's called fan demand.
Listen.
Hashtag release the
Give us
Takarada
Godzilla
cut.
2014
Hashtag
with this
release
scene
the
and the
Takarada
special
cut.
features
I'm down with it.
Properly lit.
Yeah, listen, man.
You will be our new best friend forever.
We live in a world where money got thrown at the Snyder Cut. Put the scene on YouTube.
Come on now.
Seriously.
That's all we want. Just put it on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have found it on YouTube. Yeah. Someone has gotten their mitts on it. So
I've never seen this. I've never seen the scene.
Likewise.
Oh,
I've never seen
maybe
the
I
scene.
should find it and play it for all y'all.
Oh, I bet you'd like that, legendary. Wouldn't you? Yeah. Thomas Hall, if that is your real name. I'm still salty about that Toho Kingdom interview where he's like, "Now it's going on to Blu-ray." It's not, and now he's not at Legendary anymore, so we can't hold him accountable. No, Thomas Tull's cool. I'm just messing around.
Didn't he get fired for being held accountable?
He stay in charge of Legendary, to be honest.
I think that's exactly right. Actually, Nate, check your Twitter. I threw a picture in there in your in your messages. I threw a picture in.
Oh, dang it! Are you kidding me? I've seen the scene. I can't find it on YouTube anymore.
Because Thomas got to it first. He took it down. Man.
Poor Kim. No. Kim's like, I just want to gush over my Takarada movie.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. We're gushing. All right. I mean, it's while Nate digs around.
Yeah, I'm done. We don't have time to dawdle.
No.
But
like I was actually gonna put this send it out there for when I was yammering about my Takarada story, but I didn't get a chance. But pardon me. There's a photo in there that I think ought to be shared.
Yes.
Proof that I'm not making things up.
Give me a second. Keep talking.
Go right ahead.
Nathan's still learning how to StreamYard.
Yes, I am.
It's true. Here's a question while you're learning to StreamYard. Non-Godzilla kaiju movies from Takarada-san. Do you have a favorite one of those, Kim?
I haven't seen any.
Have you seen King Kong Escapes?
Oh, I have seen that one.
Okay.
So
there
yeah,
you go. There you
go.
Photographic evidence.
There I am, looking exceptionally dweebish. And there, proof I have hair. By the way,
it looks like a hat.
It does. It's a helmet. I went bald at age 9. But yeah, this is the boat, and obviously that is Hiroko Sakurai in the middle there. That's my man Robert Montserrat, who's in. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he was. That's him next to me, and you can tell we're so like I'm so excited. I forgot how to smile like a human. So it's there's another picture that was taken right after this same camera. Where
this is you right here, right?
Yeah. That's
right?
Yes.
Can everyone see the mouse going? Yeah.
Stop showing the people my horrible face.
Zoom in on that, Nathan.
Why do you think why do I think my lighting is so bad? It's intentional. I'm protecting my hands. Enhance.
Oh man, I won't let. Wait, no.
Well, you made the X bigger. How to StreamYard?
Yeah, that's it's not working.
There it is. But anyway, there's Takarada-san, and yeah, just what a night! What a
looking
night!
Dapper
Anyway,
as ever.
Looking dapper. The man, like he never went anywhere not looking amazing. Like I don't know what his deal was.
Takarada is one of the few men who can rock pink.
I think pink is an underrated color on guys. I think more guys should do it.
Yes,
I've worn pink before. I've worn pink. I have a pink tie
I'm just
somewhere.
saying,
I think
Takarada's wearing a pink tie in this picture I picked.
Well, I'm never going to look as good as Takarada in anything. Are you kidding? Why even try? It's not going to happen. The man was just like he was as much a class act visually as he was like just as a human. There you go.
Yeah.
But
anyway, you wanted to know favorite non.
I mean, now that I'm stopping and thinking about it, that particular filmography isn't particularly large. Most of his kaiju work was with Godzilla, but we mentioned it before: Half Human, Latitude Zero, King Kong Escapes,
Three Treasures.
Three Treasures, which he's not in that much, but darn it if he doesn't look good. Shocking no one. But yeah, he's in the film. He's in Three Treasures is epic. There's another movie that desperately needs a U.S. Official U.S. release.
Criterion had the rights, I think, at one point.
Oh, did they? No, you're right. They did, but I think they lapsed or they
did nothing. They did nothing.
It's so frustrating. That movie is magnificent. It needs to be released now.
We mentioned Great Buddha Arrival.
Great Buddha Arrival. Also, I'm going to throw one kind of curveball in here. Has anybody here ever seen the amazing Godzilla Battle Royale fan film that's on YouTube?
Long time
it's
ago.
It's been in my queue for years, but not yet.
It is a lovely, fun time. It is. It was shot over the course. For anybody out there who doesn't know, Godzilla Battle Royale is a feature-length Godzilla fan film that was shot over something like 5 or 6 consecutive G-Fests. And basically, whenever people brought costumes, like their own fan costumes, to the con, Billy Du Bois would grab his camera and shoot scenes, and a few years into it, he had edited together enough footage and actually cast actors to put into the middle that he had a full Destroy All Monsters style plot with all of these kaiju, and he turned it into a narrative film. Matt Frank did the poster design, and every time that Billy was able to get a Japanese guest that was at the con to be in the movie, he would film them. And Akira Takarada is in this Godzilla fan film. And I was actually reading something from Billy on Facebook a day or two ago, talking about his memories of Takarada and saying that he was behind the fact that he was behind the camera and got to yell action to direct Akira Takarada, even if it was in front of a green screen for a fan film, it's a remarkably special thing, I would say.
Yeah. How many of us can say we got to direct Takarada?
I would say out of the 4 of us here, none of us, sadly.
Yeah.
None of us. I wish.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking at his filmography on IMDb, and there is one movie on here in particular. A lot of these are Japanese titles, and I don't know what they are, but there's one on here that I also want to see for other reasons, and that's The Big Boss. No, not the Bruce Lee movie.
Yes, a different Big Boss.
Bruce Lee movie. It's a different Big Boss from 1959. If I remember correctly, I think it's a gangster movie, and it was written by Sekizawa. And I think Sekizawa has gone on record as saying that he thinks that is his finest script.
Mm-hmm. That's a film he held in very high regard in his career. I've never seen it, and I would love to. I don't know if it exists subtitled anywhere. I don't care. I mean, I'll watch it without subtitles. I don't need the subtitles. I just want to watch it. But subtitles would sure be nice. But one of these days, I'm still holding out hope for. I mean, this is more of these movies just need to be made officially available outside Japan. There's an audience for them. It's never going to be a huge audience, but it's there. This is something that Steve Reifel has talked about a lot, and Ed Gajicheski, with trying to get Honda's films more, seen outside of Japan. They were kind of hoping that their biography that they wrote might spur some screenings, maybe a couple of home video releases of some of Honda's films, like Farewell Rabal and The Blue Pearl and things like that. I want to see like some of Takarada-san's films get like an Eclipse box set from Criterion,
Yes,
where it's 4 movies.
I want to see, even though Eclipse still existed.
Maybe they don't. I don't know, but
I think they do.
I think they still do it, right? I don't know. I hope. What if they do? And even if they don't, just release these movies. Just do something. I mean, it's fine to put them on the streaming service, whatever. I just want people to see them. I want this man's legacy to expand after his passing and not contract. I want it to get bigger. I want more people to know about his movies. And frankly, there's so many of them I haven't seen because there's just no reliable way to get them. And, I've bought movies from, Amazon Japan before and stuff like that. I mean, the first time I ever got a copy of Submersion of Japan, I actually bought Submersion of Japan on DVD in Japan when I was there. And of course I couldn't play the ding dang thing, but I got it with the hopes that I might be able to dig out my region free DVD player, but I it's in a box somewhere. I'll never find it. But anyway, I'm off topic now, but give this man some spotlight in America, beyond the creature features, which are great, but more Akira Takarada. Can't go wrong with that.
Slight bad news. The last time they released an Eclipse set was in 2018.
Well, that blows. Never mind then. Bring it. Hey, Criterion, bring back the Eclipse box set and then release Akira Takarada movies.
And then do a better Criterion set of Godzilla films.
Oh, shit.
Okay, you people have been talking Criterion all night. Did you really think I was going to go the entire 3 hours without saying that?
I was hoping.
I dearly hoped.
Yes.
Maybe.
I forget. I'm a terrible nerd for asking this, but was he in Atragon? Trying to remember.
No, he was not in Atragon.
No, okay. There was someone else in Atragon.
Was that, are you thinking of Tadao Takashima?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Now, Kim still hasn't given us her favorite Takarada movie.
I haven't.
Oh, she talked about him in Sea Monster. That's her favorite performance.
Did I just blank out?
You did. But we didn't let her continue to talk about King Kong Escapes.
Oh, I only saw it once, but he was good in it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. I love King Kong Escapes. That's genuinely, I used to watch that one just because it's like it has like the classic Toho feel to it. There's not it's just like a good, like the dubbed version. It's just a nice, fun kaiju movie to put, I used to put it in to go to sleep to all the time. Like I would just throw it on at the end of the night. And if I drifted off to it, then that was good thing to drift off to. Cause I like to put on movies.
Takarada is one of the few actors who can say that he has acted with both Godzilla and King Kong.
This is true.
Think about that.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Kyle Chandler's out there going, "Yeah, but not in the same movie."
Now I've got 2 things left, and one of them is a perfect segue. Anybody else follow Linda Miller on Facebook?
Yes, she's actually a follower.
I'm friends with Linda Miller on Facebook.
Yeah, she's a GMP follower.
Did anybody else watch/listen to her video about Takarada?
No,
I
did not.
God, I was at work and I was watching. I was crying. It was like, oh my God, that's so sad.
He had all of his photos up on the wall,
and she was like, both of them have passed, and I'm the only one left from the 3. And it was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, because Rhodes Reason is gone.
Rhodes passed away in the 90s or early 2000s, I believe.
And it was so heartbreaking because And she starts tearing up. It's like,
Yeah. And it was like a 30, like 100, like I don't know, like a 90-second video.
yeah.
And it was just so concise and sweet. If anyone out there has not watched it, she's on Facebook. She's easy to find on Facebook. Just pardon me. Yeah. Look her up, and it's 90 seconds and it's very sweet. Have a box of tissues ready. That's all I'll say. Yeah, it was just yeah, I think what we're going to start to see more remembrances. Actually, this morning I read a remembrance from Megumi Odaka, who was Miki Saigasa in the Heisei films. And
I think because Takarada and her been in the most Godzilla films overall?
Sahara has, I think, he's been in like 12. He's been literally in a dozen of them. He's if you count his 1 second cameo in the original, he's been in more than any other actor. But after that, Odaka-san, Takarada-san, they might be up there because they were each in 6. And she had, I don't remember exactly how she phrased it, but she had some lovely things to say about dear Akira Takarada. And she shared a picture from the premiere of Godzilla vs. Mothra 92 with them on stage in front of the screen promoting it. So we're going to start to see more of these things pour in. I saw Shinji Higuchi said something very nice in remembrance of him the other day. I'm interested. I mean, it's going to just kill me and break my heart in a million ways. But the more remembrances that pour in from people who worked with him in Japan, that's going to be really special to continue to see that. Especially people from the Golden Age. I don't know if Kumi Mizuno has said anything yet, but I'd love to hear what she has to say. The two of them, they were in other movies beside the 2 Godzilla films they were in together. But I'd love to hear what she has to say. She, like we were saying before, she's one of the last from that period. And I'd love to hear what Akira Kubo has to say, because Akira Takarada hated his character's guts in Monster Zero. Marry my sister, will you? This'll really stand him on his head. But
that was the point of Takarada's career where he was the older guy now, and he was telling the young guys what for.
He was the older brother. When he shot Monster Zero, he would have been probably 31, 32. And yeah, it's amazing to remember, because I think the one thing we haven't talked a whole lot about, and there's not a whole lot to say that's treading new ground about the role of Ogata in the original Godzilla, because everybody knows that role in and out. But he was 20 when he was so young when that film was made, and that I hope that's encouraging to people. I mean, I'm a cantankerous old man at this point, but like people who are teenagers in their 20s, even little kids, can look at that and say, he was my age or younger than me or older than, like a year or two older than me when he accomplished this amazing thing. Maybe I can too. So it's by the very nature of being a very talented 20-year-old man in a life-changing movie, a world-changing movie, he just that has been inspirational.
Yeah, I will never forget the story that he told during his panel, which you can hear this because Kyle Yount recorded it for Kaiju Cast. He interviewed Takarada in 2019. He told the story about growing up in China, because he was born in Japan-occupied Korea, and then he grew up in China, and he witnessed firsthand the brutalities of World War II as a child.
He was shot in the stomach.
Yeah.
He almost died as a teenager. That was almost the end. Like years before Godzilla, he would have not, I mean, he could have not been in that movie. His career might never have happened. He was shot in the stomach. It's just, that I mean that's too much to get into here, but anybody
It
who hasn't
is,
heard
it
that,
is. But I'm
go
just saying,
listen to
like,
that episode.
yeah,
Go listen to
yeah,
that
yeah,
episode.
for sure. But I'm just saying, the man
Yeah.
lived a storied life, and
Yeah.
we're fixating on the movies that he made and how much we love those. But I mean, I'm hoping in the nearly 3 hours we've been doing this. Good Lord, Matt from Monstrosities did this in 40 minutes. Look at us. Almost
Sorry,
3
I
hours.
feel like that's partly my fault.
Well, I haven't watched Matt's stream yet, but I'm guessing he did it by himself. This has 4 people, all of whom have
He
stories
did it
to
with
tell.
Patrick Galvin.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Patrick was there. Yeah,
Okay.
I actually haven't finished watching the stream yet. I was very I just didn't think I could listen. Like I still don't think I could handle it. I'm gonna be honest. Like I didn't want to sit and listen. Like it was very painful. It was a hard day. And kudos to Matt for having the wherewithal and the emotional wherewithal to do that stream on the day and to be there and to give people that moment of coming together and celebrating him. I had to take a knee that day after work. I had to not because it just hit me right in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
But I will go back and watch it. And give Matt some views. I love that dude. And also, since we're talking about remembrances, we have gone through almost 3 hours of this stream, and we have not mentioned Kim's video.
I'm actually going to play part of
good,
it to
good,
close
good,
us
good.
out.
Good, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't want to completely steal her video, but I'm going to play, if with your permission, Kim, I would like to play the montage that you did at the end.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
So yes,
that will be how we close it out. For those who listen to the audio of this, they're going to be terribly confused. I am sorry, but
go watch Kim's video. Throw views at it, share it. That was the first thing that, honestly, Kim, that's the first like video related thing I did after I got the news. I read a lot of things from people. I didn't know if I was going to be able to like sit and handle it, frankly, but I saw your video pop up and I said, I have to see this. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Yours was actually one of the first tributes like that I saw, which I'm going to say this right now, people. This is a testament to her talent as a video editor. The fact that she put it together this quickly. Hire her right now.
Hire this person. Hire her. It's just, yeah. I mean, it can speak for itself. I don't need to, but I cried in my car after work watching this. I was like, I can't do this, but I'm doing it. I thank you for putting in the time to give that to the fans.
Oh, I couldn't not make a video. I had to.
Of course.
It's because you're Kaiju Kim. This is what you do. You make the most wholesome Kaiju content on YouTube.
I do. Yes, I am.
A necessary moment. And I encourage everyone to go watch it. It is... it's just beautiful.
Completely unrelated. Well, almost completely unrelated. She's also a talented voice actress. I had her on the show recently. You should hire her for that too.
Indeed.
Her British accent is brilliant.
It's great. I loved hearing that in the episode. That was such a fun moment.
I intentionally wrote the character to that. I basically rearranged this one-off, very brief character to Kim's strength. So, like, here you go.
I had fun doing that. Thank you.
But yes,
I love it.
But yes, I think hopefully what everyone gets out of this is Takarada. He lived a long, storied life. We can only touch on a little bit of it. His life overlapped with ours, if only for a moment, and for some of us had a tremendous impact on our lives. I'm thinking of you, Danny, and I think the best thing, I think you said it actually in your video, Kim, the best thing that we can do is remember him for all the things that he did. And I think that's something that all of us should take away from it. Maybe we don't all become famous movie stars like Takarada did, but I do think that, we can emulate him in the way he conducted himself, the kindness that he showed to his fans and the appreciation that he showed, the encouragement that he gave. If we could all be like that, I think the world would be a little bit happier of a place. I think we can all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's entirely true and very, very well said. I said something to that effect in the Kaiju Ramen thing I put together, just that he, with him no longer here, where does this fandom go when somebody who was so important to it is not here anymore? Somebody who was so important to that original movie, what do we do? Where do we go? Where do we turn? And to me, the answer is you remember, you keep him, you keep the memory alive, and you live as he did. You treat others as he did, as he treated people with kindness and made himself available to the fans and was generous and funny. So too should we be to each other within the community and just to anyone. Just take that kindness and share it. As he embraced his legacy and the what he left behind in terms of this movie, the original film, and all the other movies he did, so too should we embrace the things that are important to us. And I think if we can do those things, then he's in a way always going to be around. And and again, I did say this in my Kaiju Ramen piece, so this is I guess is a little spoiler if I but one of my favorite things about being in a room with Takarada-san and talking about, like, listening to him talk about the people he worked with, most of whom were long gone. I'm thinking specifically of his Godzilla alums, the original Godzilla alums: Honda, Momoko Kochi, Akihiko Hirata, and as of 2017, Haruo Nakajima, and obviously Tanaka and Tsuburaya, and just all these guys. He would always say, whenever he asked about them, or just even when he was just speaking about the original film, that he felt with all his heart that they were there and they were looking down and they were happy and grateful that we all loved this franchise like we did, and that they were happy and proud. And I'd like to think that they're in good company right now.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And and I think, you mentioned the legacy, and Takarada might be gone in the person, but just as we've lost Honda and Nakajima and all these other people, the films that they put hours into still exist, and we can still feel his presence, feel his sincerity, feel his legacy in the things that we've watched. Even though he's gone, he's still here, and generations to come can still sit there and watch Takarada and all these other amazing individuals and still be inspired by their talents. And I mean, we brought it up at the beginning of this stream when I mentioned that original unfiltered concept of Godzilla. They passed it on, like you mentioned, Danny, and they can still pass that on through the films that we now can watch, whether we stream it, go to a movie theater, watch it on our VHS, watch it on our DVD, our Blu-ray, or 4K, whatever the case may be. We can still see that and see what these people worked hard and fought for. And the last thing that I wanted to bring up was, I think the thing that broke me the most was you know, we talked about how Nick Adams and Takarada had such great chemistry. And I saw a tweet on Twitter, and Michael said it earlier in the chat, and I think it was Nathan said it. I don't remember. But to think that after decades, because Nick Adams died within 10 years of Astro Monster, if I remember correctly, right?
Within
It was only a few years later, actually.
within like a year or two, he passed away in the 60s after the film. Yeah.
And to hear that they can be together again is just, you know that Takarada and Adams had great fun, and to think that they can be together again is very poetic, and it's just a nice thought. And I think that adds on to what you brought up, Danny, about how now, based off of what Takarada said, how everybody was looking down and happy. Takarada can join them and look down and be happy and see how many people they've inspired, impacted, and made a difference in their life for, which I think is something special.
Well said, man. I have no doubt that Takarada and Nick Adams are causing trouble somewhere.
Probably giving Tsuchiya another hard time.
Oh, Tsuchiya, yeah, they're all that. Oh my god, almost that whole cast is gone now. Oh, that hurts. Kim, anything to add on?
You guys pretty much hit the nail on the head. It's just like I said at the beginning of the stream. It's like we lost a friend. So yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. It's a mixture of things, because it's a good time to celebrate, but it's also just achingly sad.
Yeah. Isn't death always like that, though?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's
Yep.
It becomes a time of reflection and a time of celebration, but you can't get over the fact that someone is gone.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that that's a valid way to look at it, because there's always, like, if Takarada-san popped onto the stream right now, he wouldn't want us. I
would lose my freaking mind.
He wouldn't want us to be crying. You know, he would want us to be happy, and he'd want us to know that he was happy. So,
I want popcorn.
I want popcorn. I wasn't one of the heathens that went there. I was cultured, and I was at the concert. So
sounds pretty pretentious, if you ask me.
Oh, highly. I'm teasing Nate. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
But
besides, that joke's 3 hours old, so
it is 3 hours. Jeez. And me without my tissue box. Yikes. Yeah, but I think we covered a fair amount of ground here. We covered stories and favorite moments and favorite films and what he meant to us and what he meant to everyone. I'm satisfied. I feel a bit better. Does anybody else feel a little better? I mean, not 100% better, but maybe just a little better. I feel just a little. It's gonna take a while. But I feel like talking about it with people who get it, because most of the people in my life, I'm gonna be honest, wouldn't, they'd be like, sorry that actor in that movie you liked died. Like they just don't, and that's fine, but they just don't know. Like no one's gonna really know, like just how significant this guy was to so many people, because they weren't in it. They weren't in the fandom. They weren't, but it's gonna be hard to explain, I think, to a lot of people, just like outside of the four of us in this immediate sphere, just how significant this man was and how indescribably wonderful it was to know that he cared so much about us too. So for me, being able to talk about this stuff with you three and whoever gets a chance to listen to this later, like all of us understand, you know, we all get it. We're all on the same wavelength when it comes to this. And that's important when you're going through something like this and you're grieving, that you know, you like, y'all get it. I don't have to explain why this guy was awesome to you guys. So it's been helpful for me. And I still feel like I got kicked in the chest, but pardon me. But yeah, I feel better. And that's the friendship, man. This entire stream has been about the power of friendship. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh episode. You're welcome.
I can believe in the heart of the
Well,
cards.
The heart of the cards.
the new Ultraman movie basically boils down to the power of friendship too.
I missed
Power of
that.
friendship.
Actually missed that stream. I need to go back and rewatch or just watch.
It's still available. It's
awesome.
still available.
Awesome. I will go back.
Yeah, it just costs more now.
Oh.
more.
I'm gonna quote a song real quick, and I think Danny will be the first one to guess what song this is, but we'll see. So this is Goodbye Now. You turn to leave me. I watch you go. I don't want to cry, but the tears come freely. I miss you so. Somewhere in the world, you might find the answers you're looking for. I'll be waiting here when your journey's over. Come back once more. I'll be sad and lonely too, until we're back together again. Close my eyes and I think of you now and then, my friend. And then it says, goodbye now, Godzilla. Goodbye now.
Oh, it took me a second, but yeah, I got it.
This is my favorite Insane Clown Posse song. Go ahead, man.
I mean, it's just the chorus of Goodbye Now, Godzilla. But at the end, it's my old friend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And sayonara till we meet again.
Sayonara until we meet again.
Yeah.
Dude, that was good. That was sweet. That was really sweet. Anyway.
We better end the stream before poor Danny has an emotional breakdown.
Oh, that's implying I haven't had 3 of them since we started the stream.
Kim looks like she wants to give you a big hug.
I do.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like such a Debbie Downer, but like this really does suck.
Yeah.
But I thank you guys for like letting me come on and tell that crazy art story.
Thanks, Doomzilla.
Thanks, Doomzilla. Sayonara. Sayonara, old friend. I hate it. It hurts, but it's fine.
Wait.
It's all good.
How does Watanabe say it in King of the Monsters?
Saraba Tomoyo.
Yeah, Sayonara Tomoyo.
Yes, I have seen that GIF pop up a few times over the last couple of days.
I'm not gonna lie. That got me.
Yeah.
Takarada was the original Sarazawa.
That's true. Before they were swapped out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's true.
What a weird parallel universe that would have been. Takarada as Sarazawa and Harada as Ogata.
Haruo Nakajima as Emiko. It would have been weird.
Momoko Kochi as Godzilla.
Yeah, just completely swapped out.
But keep Takashi Shimura. He's the only one that stayed the same.
Oh, yeah.
I am too old to wear a suit.
Oh, man.
I am not woman.
Wait, no.
Probably just have to do a puppet.
Have Shimura be Honda, and Honda can be Shimura.
There you go. And then Akira Kurosawa comes in and just stands there.
He just stands there and silently judges everything.
Wait, no. Have Kurosawa be Sahara, and then
for the one scene on the boat.
Which he probably would have directed the snot out of to make sure it was up to his standards.
That's true. Which means now we got to find some. Oh, Sahara can go direct Seven Samurai. That's what he can do. We'll just kick him out of the movie. Oh, good gravy. I think we're all a little emotion loopy now.
I'm drained. I'm so drained.
I'm drained. I'm out of water.
Dude, I ran out of my
Kim,
drink like
Kim
2 hours
is just
ago.
sitting there going, "It's like I put up with you crazy boys for 3 hours. Will you shut up?"
He's like,
Done with-
and
done
he's
with
not
these-
I'm
coming
almost
on
out of
chilling with
water.
Kaiju Kim, and he's not going on Kaiju Kim, and he's not going on Kaiju Kim.
least I
You're canceled, and you're canceled, and you're
No.
canceled. It's just like the
everybody's canceled.
yeah, Kim is now the Oprah Winfrey of cancellations.
You
get a
cancel.
cancel. You get canceled. You get
free cancellations. I have not been canceled by Kaiju Kim yet. I have not done
Not
anything
yet.
as far as I know.
Yeah, well,
I mean, who knows?
Well,
but
Kim,
not yet.
as the resident East Coaster, the Jersey girl here, you got to understand we're all from the Midwest. We all and Midwesterners take forever to say goodbye.
And by the way, not once have I heard anyone from New Jersey say Joyzy.
Joycey? I
See,
come
that's
from
why I'm the
Joycey.
dirty Midwesterner. So.
Oh, cripes, we're all from the Midwest, it's like crazy over here. The winter is like super bad. And
I mean, a huge part of Thanksgiving in the Midwest is everybody gets together on Thursday and then they finish saying goodbye on Friday.
wow, is that a thing? That's totally true, by the way. If that happens with me all the time, but I didn't know that was a thing. I guess
it is.
I guess
Midwesterners take forever to say.
In
goodbye.
my experience, I just stand there. Both of us just stand there awkwardly silent, and then I'm kind of like, "Okay, bye." I'm just gonna walk away.
So, turkey. Yep. Yeah, I suppose. Whatever. Oh man.
I feel like we are killing all the energy and goodwill we had for ending the stream on such.
I feel like we're
a
happier
perfect
now
note.
than we were 2 minutes ago.
I think we needed to get a bit heavy in here. I think we had to kind of
Yeah, we had some
we needed
comic relief there.
some
pop
Yeti
the bubble.
nipples.
Had to pop the bubble a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the other important lesson that we learned is that I do not know how to StreamYard.
Yes.
I already knew that. Though, so I don't think I learned anything.
Well, Kim, to quote Doctor Strange, teach me.
You'll learn with time, grasshopper.
Young grasshopper. Yes. I love it. Oh man. Is there anybody even still left watching? Did we scare everybody off? Probably.
Probably.
Well, we still have 5 viewers right now.
There we go.
Oh,
That's
hey.
good. That's a good amount.
I feel like
Yeah,
it's just.
we
I feel like it's
actually
just.
got. I think we might have gotten up to about 10 at one point. so-
Wow.
Good.
Wow. That's great. I really suspicious that it was just Michael on 5 different YouTube accounts.
We'll take it.
I hope Michael. All kidding aside, I hope Michael, if you're out there, I mean, I'm assuming you'll probably watch this later. I hope you're feeling better, bud.
Yeah, for
No
sure,
worries
for sure.
about not being able to come in. I take
Yeah,
care of
no
yourself,
hard
man.
feelings.
None
hard
at all.
feelings at all.
None at all.
No. We're
yeah.
still silently judging you like Kurosawa, but
No, I didn't say yet. I didn't
We'll
say
always
yes.
be there, but
Yeah.
Nate's judging you. Kim's canceling you. I'm trying to be nice.
I'm gonna
you
gatekeep
could have
you.
gotten yourself out of your cancellation if you just come on the stream, but fine.
Yeah.
Michael's
you and
just a fake
migraines.
fan. He's a
Yeah.
fake fan.
We wanted you to be
how
on.
dare you get a migraine?
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you try?
How
to take care
dare
of
you?
yourself?
How dare
dare
you?
you?
How dare you? How dare you? You are the one person, the one fan that Akira Takarada is judging from the afterlife right
You
now.
were the chosen one.
Oh, that's horrible. What?
I'm
the
kidding, of
worst.
course. I am so kidding.
That's
I'm so
horrible.
kidding.
That's the worst thing you've ever said.
Now I'm probably being silently judged by Takarada.
No, Michael.
Maybe not just Takarada at this point.
If Takarada were here, he'd walk up and do this on the top of your head. Not
He
fencing
probably
to you.
would.
I've seen him do that. I used to see him do that at conventions. Like he would just walk up to people, like somebody would like misspeak or like do something silly, and he'd just kind of like bop them on the shoulder, bop them on the head, or even like do that. He would do it to himself. Like if he misspoke, he'd go like he just because he was so self-deprecating too. Like he was just yeah. Now we're back on topic. Now we've circled around. But yeah. I
Uh,
think we
but we need
needed a goofy
to
moment
end.
there. We're done. I think we're
we're
done. We're
Yeah,
done.
I think we've
mhm.
we've said I think we've said all we can say. And
Actually, I've got 2 words left. Akira
Mhm.
Takarada.
there you go.
There you go.
The man, the myth, the legend. Only gone in the physical sense,
But
I would
definitely
say.
not forgotten.
Never to be
Mhm.
forgotten. May we endeavor to treat people in our lives, Godzilla fan or otherwise, the same way he did, to find something in our lives that we're passionate about, like he did, and to just be a good darn person to everyone. It's
Mhm.
not
It's
if
not that hard.
it's not that hard.
Mhm.
And like this is the thing about him that just always stunned me is the man was a legend in Japan. He could have been a pretentious, stick in the mud who charged $9,000 for an autograph and would shake your hand and move on, or just not even talk to people at all. And just not engage with the fans. It takes a lot for somebody of that age to go through the jet lag I mentioned before to get to the States and shake the hands of 1,000 sweaty white guys. It's just amazing. Just all of us gaijin nerds, all of the men and women who got the chance to see him were given full access to his big heart. And not only do I think a lot of celebrities could learn something from that, but we can all take something from it. And yeah, I have said a lot, and I am done talking.
Mic
Yeah.
drop.
No,
Mic drop.
I'm not dropping the mic, but I am. I am, however, going to yield the floor, so that we can watch this really, really special thing that Kim made. I want everyone to see it.
And then Danny will say more after it's over.
No.
No, he's not. He's getting kicked off the stream right now. and with that, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Thank all of you, including Danny, for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. You're some of my favorite people in this fandom, and I can't think of anybody else I would have rather have done this with tonight.
Oh.
Aw. Well, thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. You want to say something, Danny?
Not after that flattering. I'm glad that Kim and Elijah are your favorite people. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was backstage.
Oh, okay.
No, I you're fine, man. I'm just teasing.
I know.
Thank you for inviting me on. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Again, this was not a stream that I think any of us necessarily wanted to have to do, but it was important to all be here to celebrate it, and I'm glad I got to do it with such fine, lovely, like-minded souls. So thank you guys, genuinely.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. And thank you all again.
With MailChimp, you can guide